All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Here we go. Here we go. It's Friday. Here I am, Jan Daemon, with another Friday night of live streams covering various topics that are going on and whatever. Popular topics. Pop topics. Pop topics? Would that be appropriate? Pop topics? I'm kind of uncomfortable with that because it seems frivolous, but at the same time, in an ironic way, that seems kind of cool. Like, pop topics. Pop topics. Anyways, what's going on, everybody? It is March 1st. It is my month. Yes, it is my birthday month. Thank you. We are already into March. It is 2024. March 1st. My offering worked. Jan has. So, yeah, sorry I'm a little bit late. I was just saying a little, say la vie to my friend who's going on a vacation. But here I am now. Not too late. Fairly late. My hair is wet from being washed. So I don't know whether it's going to look really good right now. And then at the end of the stream, my hair is going to poof up like a poodle. Just. So anyway, who is in the house? We got Brent Richards. Good to see you. Mistress Angelica. Always good to see you. Laura, Cassidy, Pooks. We got the Huge in the house. The usual. MC Heavyset. Pook says, I can't do Loppy, but I can give camels. I guess. The disco balls are really good. I'm all about disco balls. In fact, there used to never be an official disco ball emoji, but ever since they released the official disco ball emoji, it looks way better than the one I fucking do. It almost makes me just want to take it, off the custom emoji market and then, do a new one. Because if anybody can do the disco ball, then that's awesome. The only reason I did the disco ball because there wasn't one, but now there is one. I think I should do something else. So maybe it's time for a new emoji. What do you think? What do you think our new emojis should be? We are in the market for a new emoji, my friends. Let's make this happen. All right. So, the beauty about my friend being on vacation for a week is that I get to be really loud. As loud as I want. Okay. Does anybody hear any, computer fan in the distance? How I've been meddling with the sound quality. How does it sound? Because I have this extra fan thing for my laptop to keep it cool, and I'm worried it's really loud. My devil head with headphones on for an emoji. Yeah. I tried to design an emoji with my devil horns, but when I made it, it looked exactly pretty much like Gengar from Pokemon. Yeah, that. I have it. So, maybe I need to redesign it with, headphones on it. But I swear that's also, similar to another logo. It's weird. It's I'm trying to make it original, but I feel like I'm getting too close to other logos and things that are already going on. Butterfinger emoji. I'm not too. I think the Butterfinger thing is funny, but I'm not so tied to it that I think it justifies an emoji. It's really got to be something that represents this channel. How about a mint leaf with a red circle and a slash through it for no mint? No mint. And every time we hate something, every time we hate something that we're viewing, or every time we disagree with something, we just put up the no mint emoji. Just no mint. No bullshit. No mental bullshit. No mint. When something gives us the ick, when something makes us cringe, when we're just saying no, 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 just like that will be like the ultimate no emoji, like no mint. No mint. It's kind of hilarious. I don't know. I think that's pretty clever, but like, I want what the people want. You know? We're very democratic in that sense here in the channel. We are a democracy here. That's what I meant. We're a democracy here on this channel, and we shall have a vote as to like what new emoji we want. Do we like the no mint idea, or do we want something else? What day is my birthday? It's the 23rd. I am happy about my birthday. I used to think my birthday sucked, but now that I'm older, I'm just like, yay, my birthday. Because I can do whatever the fuck I want as an adult because it's my birthday and whatever. Like, it's not in the hands of something else. By the way, I'm sorry. I should be saying, let's see, our topics tonight. Okay, so there's I know some of these topics are a little bit old. Not too old, but still relevant. But like, okay, so I'm still trying to process the situation with Next Benedict. I have not seen the full body cam footage of the police officer talking to Next Benedict in the hospital, and I want to see that, so I've saved that. This has been really hard. I think this is what has been the most challenging thing this week, is not watching something that I really want to watch, because I'm trying to save things for Fridays, but the problem is things happen so fast, like, and just the trending sort of algorithm of it happens so fast. But I'm like, I'm gonna do things properly, so I have a little bit of resistance to the whole algorithm thing because I think it's bullshit, you know. I don't like it. It's really difficult. It's stupid. It caters to stupid people. But at the same time, I'm like, I gotta keep up with this. So any little pieces here and there, and I'm already like, ugh, about it. But I have not seen the whole thing through and through. So I'm gonna do that with you. And then another topic we're going to discuss tonight, which I have just like done a ton of thinking and like consulting and conversating, not consulting, thinking out loud. Consulting isn't the right word. It's like I've been like talking with other people about this and stuff and like getting things, but I'm going to talk about Aaron Bushnell. And if you know, you know, it's a very difficult topic, and I've been a little bit worried about it, but I am confident and I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I just thought it's just a really heavy topic, and I want to approach it with respect, dignity, but most of all, reason. Most of all, reason. Reason above. Reason with respect. Reason with respect. Damn, that's a good. I just made that up right now. Reason with respect. So those are our topics for tonight. I don't know which one to do first. I don't, because if I cover the body cam footage of Next Benedict, I'm going to naturally lead after that, the Libs of TikTok lady interview. So it's like those two have to like go in that order. But like the Aaron Bushnell thing, I could either do after that or before that. So I don't know if I want to get that in the like targeted like or like tackle it up front. I mean, like not target, tackle it up front. I don't know if I want to tackle that up front or if I want to save it for the end. What do you guys think? Should we do a poll? Is that a terrible poll? Aaron Bushnell first or last? Should we do a poll? This is not a fun poll. I mean, yes, polls are fun, but this is not a fun poll. Am I freezing? Okay, we'll do a poll. Ugh. It's really stormy in my area right now. There's a lot of wind and rain going on right now. So, and it's good we bring that up because there's a possibility that the stream right now, like not right this second, but like this stream we're having, it might cut out because of a power outage, which I struggle with in my area. So, if my power goes out because there's lots of wind and like trees fall over, that's it. The stream's getting cut off. So if that happens, like first of all, hang on. Make sure it's not something that I just have to restart with. And then like after like probably I don't know a while, you could assume that I just have no more power. So that could happen. So wind advisory, wind emojis in the chat. Why not? Wind. I know there's a wind emoji. Yeah, there we go. What the fuck is that? I've never seen that emoji before in my entire life. It's like a leaf with a swirl. I've never seen that. There you go. Now that we got the squirrel farts. Anyways. It looks like we want to do Aaron Bushnell first, which frankly I don't mind because I think I just it's been so heavy on my mind. I think maybe I just want to tackle it. Get into it. We're going to wait just a couple more minutes for people to get in, and then we shall get started. When you smell a fart, it goes back into your body. Perplexed that that's true. I'm very perplexed. Perplexed means confused and worried. That's why I like the word perplexed. It's not just confused, it's confused and worried. Perplexed. I'm very perplexed in this life. Someone fact check for us. It's not sociopathic to tell fart jokes. It's not sociopathic. That's funny, though. Let's see, it's 6:38. We'll wait 2 more minutes and we'll get started. Actually, I have to pee. I should get that, like, I kind of have to pee. I'm, like, halfway there. Like, I could hold it, but maybe I should just get it out of the way. I think I'm going to get it out of the way. I know it's early. What? Okay, we're just past 15 minutes. 15 minutes and I already have to pee. Let's take 5. Not 5 minutes. Let's take a minute. Okie dokie. So, are we ready to dive into today's topics? We are ready. Let's get serious. Hey, Cassie. See, this is why I want to wait, because I feel like people are just getting in. So if I dive into it, I'm gonna get into it like 10 minutes, and then people are just gonna get in, and then they're gonna be like, "What? What are we talking about?" And I'm gonna have to like start all over. Do the dive. Do do do. All right. So you know what's so interesting? Um, I very much like the concept of Twitter and X, and I've never had a Twitter account. Never. Like, and by the time it like, well, actually that's not true. I've had some, actually one that got like hacked, and I have like no like, but that was like way back when it began. But I've never been active on Twitter aside from like a few posts. I remember back in the day Twitter was like it was just text. Like there was no pictures, there was no nothing. There was a character limit of like, I don't know if it was like 150 characters or something like that. But that was Twitter like when I joined it, and like now that I've like signed up on it, because I don't know, I just must be nuts. And I've been participating on Twitter. it's a lot. It reminds me a lot of like Tumblr. And I used to be a hardcore Tumblr, and I have no idea if my accounts are still out there. I don't think they exist anymore. I think I've effectively like deleted my accounts before I left Tumblr, but I remember the Tumblr days. And when I'm on Twitter now for like really like a kind of the pretty much the first time like since it was like old school, like especially since it's switched to X, like I'm like this feels like Tumblr kind of. Like it's like in a way kind of the same. So what I notice within just like the couple of weeks that I've been on Twitter is you get information fast, like really fast. Like I've been learning about things like pretty much like right as they happen versus like before where I'm like I feel like I would hear about it a few days later or like a week later. So I've been twiddling around on Twitter or X. I really don't give a shit. Like I don't care about calling it this way or another. But anyways, ever since I've been fooling around on it, you know, I'm like, wow, I'm learning about like seeing things that are happening like really fast. So I saw last Sunday, which was February 25th, the whole situation with Aaron Bushnell, and then people. It's weird because you don't get the full context at first. You just kind of see people's reactions to a situation. And so I just saw a ton of people like saying, wow, Aaron Bushnell is like a hero. Like, oh my God, Aaron Bushnell. Or Aaron Bushnell is crazy. Or, and I'm just like, what? Somebody fired? Like, what's going on? So finally I started looking into it and I realized that this was like a U.S. like Air Force gentleman who decided to make a very bold statement that is technically called self-immolation as a form of protest. And pretty much in a nutshell, Aaron Bushnell walked up with a monologue to the Iranian embassy in, was it London? No, like England or something like over there. And set himself aflame. And he had a very specific message with it. And I'm going to go over that message just real quick. Now, obviously, I can't show you any of this, but as he did this thing, he was live streaming it on Twitch. So he was live streaming himself perform this act. Where is it? I've been reading it all over and I forgot to actually like bring it up. Hold on, I'm reading. I have like so many links up and like tabs up that I like often like get lost track, like I lose track of them and like where I'm looking at what where. It's raining outside. It's really lovely. Okay, here we go. All right, let's get to this. So, I think we can end this. It's even like 50% right now. We're already into it. Like, we're just gonna do this first. I think because I feel like this is not necessarily the most important, like, it's important, but I'm like, I'm saying that as in I don't want to diminish the other things too, because like these are all important topics we talk about. So anyways, a man who set himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in Washington D.C. Oh, it was in Washington D.C. Why did I say London? I don't know. In protest at Israeli war in Gaza, posted a final message on Facebook. Aaron Bushnell, an active duty member of the U.S. Air Force, repeatedly yelled "Free Palestine" as he set himself alight in what he called an extreme act of protest on Sunday. He was transported to the local hospital in critical condition, and later he died. So he posted not only he posted this on Facebook and alongside a link on Twitch stream, because he streamed this on Twitch, and obviously that's been taken down. So he wrote, "Many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during slavery, or the Jim Crow South, or the apartheid? What would I do if my country was committing genocide? The answer is you're doing it right now." And then he started his live stream, and I actually saw, you can find the original stream. You can actually, because he got all the way to filming like the whole act of him doing that to himself with the fire. And I just wanted to see it for myself, and mainly because, you know, the media likes to describe things in certain ways and paint things in a certain light. So I just wanted to see it for myself. So I found it, and I've watched it through and through, from the moment he started and stated his monologue to the moment he set himself alight, and all the way until he fell over from the effect of that, and when people reacted to that too. And I did watch it a few times, and it's honestly one of the most shocking things I've ever seen in my life. I don't recommend it. Like, absolutely no. Like, don't. Just don't. And I don't mean that as some weird reverse psychology where, like, it's just, like, I will describe it to you. So if you don't want to, like, think about that, hear about that, or whatever, you might go away a little bit. This is not a nice description, but I do want to describe it to you. So as he had his, you know, phone thing in his hand and like panning at himself in like a selfie like angle, and he was walking up to the Israeli embassy. And as he was walking up, he was very calm, like collected, and just very, I mean, his voice was very steady. The only reason it was wavering a little bit is because he was walking really fast. You know how you walk really fast and, you know, you're talking, but, you know, it's kind of a little bit jittery because you're stepping around, stomping around or something. So he was really marching up to that building. And as he was doing that with like the selfie point of view, he says, "My name is Aaron Bushnell. I'm an active duty member of the United States Air Force." And it really is like in that tone, like that very like matter of fact, like it wasn't really overly embellished with much, like he's probably definitely anxious to some capacity, but like it was a pretty like monotone, like that, like, "My name is Aaron Bushnell. I'm an active duty member of the United Air Force, and I will no longer be complicit in genocide." And then he says, "I'm about to engage, and pay attention to this, in an extreme act of protest. But compared to what people have been experiencing in Palestine at the hands of their colonizers, it's not extreme at all. This is what our ruling class has decided what will be normal. And then he sits down the camera, facing the gate of the Israeli embassy, steps in front of it, and the whole time he's like walking and saying this, he has like a container. It kind of looks like, I don't know, like a coffee thermos or something like that, like a metal coffee thermos. And then he stands in front of the camera, very quickly actually pours it all over him, like pretty freaking fast. And then he pulls out a lighter. And as he's pulling out the lighter, doused in this gasoline, you can hear people, like, in the distance, like, other people around, other military people, I don't know what the fuck they are, police, whatever, enforcers. You can hear them shout out to him, "Hey, sir, what's going on?" Like, they almost, like, they're not really, like, grasping what's going on. It's sort of like a, when you're a retail worker in a grocery store and you're just asking a customer, like, "Hey, how you doing? Can I help you find anything?" It was that kind of thing. Like, "Hey, sir, what's going on? Can I help you?" And as they're doing that, and he's doused in this, he's taking his lighter and he's trying to light his clothing, like, several times, but it's not quite working. He tries to do it, like, up at his shirt, and then he tries to bend down and do it at his pants. And then finally, he decides to light the ground directly, where the liquid has poured down all over his body into the ground. And that set it off. So as it sets off and the flames start crawling up his legs, he stands up straight and shouts, "Free Palestine." And the flames are crawling up more, and he says again, "Free Palestine." And the flames crawl up all over his head. And then I know he tried to say "Free Palestine" like a third time, but it's like the fumes at that point like overtook his lungs. And so he just kind of let out like a gurgled scream. And then he didn't say anything at all, but he was standing very erect for a time that's when it was really like unsettling to me, like and that's when I could feel his just like, I don't want to say power, but just like he really stood up a flame for silent for such a long time until the fabric and flesh was melting off him, and finally he collapsed. And the people around him, finally ran up to him. There was people taking a fire extinguisher, spraying it at him. And as he was like on the ground, aflame, and the flame, but like being extinguished at the same time, there you see this cop like walk out like from the side. And the cop, like during this thing, like while the kid's aflame, pulled out a gun and pointed it at him and was like, "Get down!" Like, just that weird, like, automatic, like, cop behavior. And that cop is receiving a lot of flack right now for making that decision. But it was to the point, and I'm pretty sure there was other cops pointing a gun too, because you hear somebody very distinctly say, "I don't need another gun, I need another fire extinguisher," as they're trying to, like, put out the flames on this man. And then you hear another cop approach the camera. You hear the voice get closer, and you hear him say, like, "What is this? Like, who are these people?" Or like, who is this? Like, what's going on? And picks up like the camera and like turns it off, and that's the end of the video. So it's only like a 3-minute video, but that's what happens in between. And I've watched that a couple of times, and we're going to get to the point of this. So that is what happened in a nutshell. Now, after that, I'm like really taken back, right? Like, that's honestly got to be the like craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen some weird shit on the internet, especially, being a old millennial and being on the internet back when it was not censored at all. There was no censoring anything, all right? Like, we all, you know what it means, if you know, you know. Like, to those of you who've been, like, old enough to be on the internet back before it was, like, censored at all, like, you would find some shit where you're like, I wish I didn't see that. So it kind of, like, brought me back to that. And it was very jarring. And I had, like, this very, reactionary, like, thing, like this very reactionary like flood of emotions, and I wanted to react like this, and I wanted to react like that, and I wanted to react like this other thing, and I was just like, oh my god, react, react, react. And so what I did is I just kind of like took a step back, and I'm like, let's think about this with reason, right? Like, let's acknowledge the emotions I have about this. Like, let's think about this. So one thing I notice is like you have this polarization between people who think this is a incredible heroic act and paint the man as a hero, and this thing, this, that, and the other, like, honor that, like, make a statue. And then there's this other polar side to that that's polarizing, where it's people are saying this man is an idiot and just like totally destroyed themselves and is mentally ill. And then now you have these two polarizing things like going back and forth, right? And I'm just like, wow. So I've been talking about it like in depth with some friends, and I think that's what helps when you're like trying hard to like reason with things and you're not sure. You need to surround yourself with people who kind of who think the same way, and then you can have like a very just open and honest discussion about really difficult things where everybody brings a different perspective to the table, but it's not about like who's right or wrong. All of you are literally just thinking out loud about the issue and exchanging thoughts and ideas, and then sort of just like finding the reasonable aspects to it, like finding the middle ground, finding like what's great and what's not, you know. Not really like that, that sounds more moralistic, but I'm trying to describe things, okay? This is really hard. So I'm gonna say this. Actually, no. Let's talk about the concept of self-immolation, because that's what he did. A lot of the heart of the debate is like, is this destroying himself, or in a very bad, like, mentally ill way? Or is this like a pure form of protest and something to be upheld as like heroism? So I'm like, okay, well, what is self-immolation? Like, let's just look up the basics of that. And I know I don't care for Wikipedia, okay? I'm trying to get just like basic definitions. I feel like Wikipedia is fine for like some basic stuff. So anyways, self-immolation is the act of setting oneself on fire. It is mostly done for political or religious reasons, often as a form of protest or in acts of martyrdom. Due to its disturbing and violent nature, it is considered one of the most extreme methods of protests. So this is a very specific thing, and that's what I want everybody to keep in mind. To compare it to one like unaliving themselves due to poor mental health, I think that's very debatable, frankly. I think that I'll be very charitable to that. I think that's very debatable. I think perhaps in some cases there's an element of mental health there, but for the most part, like 99%, like pretty much, this is meant to be like a very intentional, like clear-headed, purposeful act. And it is meant to disturb. It is meant to shock. It is meant to disgust you and jolt you and get your attention to what it's representing. And typically, this act of violence to oneself is meant to symbolize an act of violence to the many. So it's almost like the singular perspective of this Zeta is deciding to become a representation of the suffering of a large group that's a part of more of like a collective. It's a very serious situation where it's almost like they take their personal traits and their personality and their selves as a person, and they decide to sacrifice that and become a pure archetype and representation of the suffering of a group of people. So it's a really serious act of like self-destruction, and it's not good. It's not meant to be good. I think that's where the point I'm getting at. It's technically not meant to be good. It's technically meant to horrify you. It's technically meant to get you really thinking. So when it comes to painting these people as a hero, I don't think that's wrong on the surface. I think it's a natural reaction to want to honor this person and the message and the bravery they had and the self-sacrifice they have for the situation. I think that's a natural reaction. So I don't look down on that at all. But when I think about it further, because I had that reaction too at first, but it's like I'm talking it back and forth with friends, and I'm just like, we're really diving into like what this means, and it's like, this is not intended to be an act of heroism. In fact, Aaron Bushnell stated very, very, very plainly, I'm about to engage in an extreme act of protest. He was very specific about that. He did not say, I'm about to engage in this to be a hero to these people. That was not on his mind. And I think if in some twisted fate and cruelty, Aaron had survived to experience, the pain of the burning and stuff, even if it was severe, I'm pretty sure he would say being painted as a hero was not his intention, and he doesn't want that. He did this very specifically to highlight what's going on in Gaza, what's going on with the Palestinian people. He didn't do this to be a hero. So I don't blame people for having that reaction, because I had that reaction at first. And in some way, it is heroic with the selflessness that he had, but not the act. I want to be very, very clear and specific about that. Not the act of what he did. The act of what he did is fucking terrible. And you should think it's terrible too. And you should think that that's not something that's okay to do. Well, I can't tell you what to think. That's just my opinion. Sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Great. Somebody's going to clip that. Anyways, I mean, I don't mean like you as in my viewers. I mean, it's just like, I don't think people should be thinking about that as something to put glitter and glamour and art on and like paint as heroic, because it's not meant to be technically. Like, moralistically, I don't mind what you do. If you feel that need to call Aaron a hero, that's fine. Like, I get that. I think there's something about that should be honored. Like, that person shouldn't be painted as a crazy, right? Like, they shouldn't be defecated in that sense. But this act of self-immolation is not something that's meant to be honored. It's meant to carry a message. The Zeta has decided to forego a personality, a personal life, everything. They sacrificed their individuality, and they decided to become an archetype and a representation of suffering of the collective. So that's not encouraged. It's not, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. Like, if you plan to do that, fucking seek help. Like, you shouldn't be doing that at all. That is a horrible, like, act of violence to, like, if you do that to yourself, you still, because there's still going to be pain and suffering. There needs to be a better way to protest. The fact that Zetas feel like they have to do this in order for things to get better is a very severe sign that something needs to change, because this can't happen anymore. We can't let this happen anymore. We can't let people think that this is an okay thing to do and people should do it regularly. I feel like it's over glorifying it to some degree, and it's got to stop. It needs to be taken seriously, and it needs to be looked at as a horrifying thing. Because it is a horrifying thing. It's meant to be horrifying. Like I said, I feel like I have to repeat, it's okay to feel like you want to call him a hero, like, because in some sense I do, but that's not the point of this. Painting Aaron Bushnell as a hero is not the point of this. It's the message he had, okay? These things are not encouraged, but when they happen, if they happen, we have to take time for the conversation. We can't shy away from the conversation. We need to reason through this and realize that this is a symptom of a much larger issue. And it should shake you. It should make you get awake. That's what they're meant to do. They're meant to shake, rattle, and roll. They're not meant to be iconized, like they're not meant to be made as an icon or something to look up to. That's not what they're meant to do. It's a monolith to suffering, and that's not something you make heroic. You don't heroize. It's a monolith to suffering. You don't make it a hero. That's I feel like that's backwards, and I've been like really stressed about trying to explain that without coming off as being rude and being like, oh, if you call Aaron Bushnell a hero, you suck. That's not what I'm saying at all. I think that's a very natural human response to something that's really terrible going on. But since we're all being forced to sit down and have this very fucking difficult conversation about it, I'm gonna be honest about it. I'm not gonna cherry coat it. I'm gonna be honest in that was my reaction at first. And now that I've thought through it a lot, like on my own, and some talking with friends, I'm just like, this is technically not meant to be something good. Mark says, valorize. Don't valorize it. Violence against self is still violence. Exactly. Hold on, I need to look up something. That's such a good point. And even I had to wrestle with it for a while, because even at first I'm like, oh, he's a hero. He's very brave. Yes, he's very brave. And I'm like, yeah, in some ways he's a hero. But then I started to teeter down. I'm like, what is it that I'm trying to I'm like, first of all, why do I want to do that? Why do I want to call him a hero? Because I'm like, I think there's a deep sense of me that just doesn't want his death to be in vain. And I'm just like, okay, but that should that overtake the final conclusion of what the situation is? Or is that just an emotional reaction I'm having? And I'm like, well, it's an emotional reaction I'm having. And then I'm like, okay, Jan, that's fine. I'm not talking about myself like that. But anyways, you know what I mean? I'm taking you through the thought process. That's a normal reaction to have. That's very, emotional. That's okay. But, at the end of the day, What is the message that's trying to be conveyed here? And that's what's more important to me in the end. And the feelings are still there too. Fine, it's not, that's not the end of the world having those feelings there. I'm trying to share something. That was shared to me by a friend. Let's see. This is a really good quote. I'm trying to save it. Where do I save? What's going on? What's happening? Oh my fuck. Is it going to pop up right there? Oh, beautiful. All right, friend sent me a quote. Self-immolation is a violent act, indeed one of the most violent. And if you dislike violence, then you should abhor it no matter your view on the war in Gaza. Already the DC self-immolator is being turned into a hero, and that risks compounding this tragedy for no good reason. The worry here that I agree with this. It took me a minute. I was just like, yes. And I'm just like, you know what? And that's what actually, it was after this. No, it was before. I don't know. I had a conversation and like, it was eventually like, it was a conversation with Susan actually. And we were kind of like whittling down, like what is that whole thing between him being a hero and being a psychopath? And we're finally just like, kind of just reached the idea, like, it's not like, perhaps he's not, mentally ill. Could have like a degree of that, but don't we all? That's the point. Like, that's why that doesn't really like hold much. But it's like the whole thing is like my aha moment. Okay, let me explain it that way. It was the aha moment in my head where I'm like, oh, this isn't meant to be a heroic thing. That's the point of it. It's not meant to be a heroic thing. That's why it's awful. So, but like I said, if people want to heroize him, like, I guess, it's a normal human response, I think we're all just people and we want the best. And, when somebody has an extreme message like that, I think we want to give them the honor that we feel like they deserve, because there's probably some part of us that feels for that. But my hope is that people don't take this as a sign as that's what you should do. That more violence is the answer. If the goal is to get rid of violence, more violence like this is not going to work. There's different ways to protest, and protesting with a shock value too. There's ways to protest with a shock value to it that doesn't have to end your life. And all we need to do is stick our heads together and innovate that. We don't need to sacrifice ourselves like that. And, I mean, if it happens, it happens, but like, don't like, don't do that. We can build a better world on our terms, not the oppressive, violent terms that we've constantly been suffering with. Let's innovate our terms, because clearly this shit isn't working. Clearly violence begets violence. I just, I'm highly against planning to do something like this. Don't fucking do it. At first I was like, I was honestly just confused, but just thinking about it, I'm like, this is fucked up. Don't do it. I mean, now that it's happened, it is what it is, but like, don't fucking do that. Don't fucking do that. And if you think you want to do that, please seek a helpline. Okay, they're out there. You can Google them. They're very easy to access. They're there to help. If you're feeling feelings like that, please seek help first. Please do not do this shit. So, I want to watch just a little bit. Oh, so a little bit more about the history of self-immolation. So let's take ourselves back, read this cool article about the history of self-immolation, because many people have done this throughout history. And there's one in particular. Where did I get it? Where am I? Okay. So the history of self-immolation as a political protest. Let me check in with the chat before we get that. So Susan says, yes, do not glamorize anything. Susan says, I don't think anybody who does that considers an hero aspect. No, because I swear, if those people happen to survive the burning, that the first thing they would say is, it's not about me. That wasn't my point. You know what I mean? And I don't think we should glamorize that. Because as he stated very clearly, this is an act of extreme protest. Like, that's so nuts. Like, very freaking, like, specific about that. So I don't think we should take it as anything else but that he intended it to be. I think that would be the best way to honor, frankly, in my personal opinion, is to take it precisely how he meant it. This is meant to be an extreme violent act of protest. Like, this is not good. He didn't intend it to be good. Like, this is not great. Don't, like, I'm pretty sure, too, he would suggest for other people not to do it. Perhaps he felt like that was his burden, Mark is talking about the Vietnamese Buddhist monk during the war. Yeah, really interesting. So, anyways, the U.S. airman set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy. Yeah, we were in that. In the past, self-immolation has been used as an extreme form of protest against political leaders in Tunisia during Arab Spring. I don't know if Tunisia, I don't know how to pronounce that. Forgive me. The Vietnam War and climate change. And Bushnell isn't the first to self-immolate in protest of Israel-Hamas war. In December, an unidentified individual self-immolated outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta in what police describe as likely an extreme act of political protest. Oh, likely it is! It's an act of despair, says Ralph Young, a history professor at a Temple University. You feel that there's nothing you can do, or that people are willing to do. So this is the ultimate sacrifice, yourself. And that's the flaw, I feel like. I mean, yes, it absolutely 100% gets a reaction, but it calls more attention to the suffering, and that's not meant to be good. I mean, it's important, but it's not good. Important doesn't necessarily mean good. You know what I mean? Like clamping down on online predators. It's important, but it's not good we have to do that, right? Mark says Tunisia. Oh, Tunisia. Okay. Thank you. The practice of self-immolation dates back centuries according to ancient Hindu tales of Sati, the wife of a Hindu god who got married without her father's approval. Some retelings of her life say that Sati burned herself to death on her husband's funeral pyre and are used as justification for the practice of ritual suicide I just said that word. That has long been banned in India. Sorry, YouTube doesn't like it when I say that word, and I've been trying really hard not to say it. So now that I just like naturally said it, I'm just like, damn it. Self-immolation was also seen as a sacrificial act committed by Christian devotees who choose to be burned alive when they were being persecuted for their religion by Roman Emperor Diocletian around 300 AD. Well, yeah, I mean, they had a choice. I mean, it's a really fucking shitty choice, but it's like Christians either chose to give up their faith or they were to be burned. So I suppose that is self-immolation because you're literally choosing to die by burning. And you're sacrificing yourself for a protest. That's a protest because you're not giving in. I mean, is it good to be coerced into a choice like that? No, but that still is, their choice. Interesting. Honestly, I never thought about that. I've been reading about like the monk and everything, but like I didn't really think about like the Christian devotees who would like rather burn than give up their god. Really interesting. So one of the first and most well-known acts of self-immolation in modern history was conducted by I'm gonna fuck up this name, Thich Quang Duc during the Vietnam War. Man, I'm gonna butcher that name. I just butchered it. Oh no. The Vietnamese monk set himself on fire in Saigon in 1963 in protest of the persecution of Buddhists by the South Vietnamese government backed by the US. Several other monks followed his example. You know what? I started reading up. There's actually this thing where if one person ends themselves, like if they're significant enough, people will follow suit. And this is what I'm frightened about. Don't do it. Okay, I'll be so angry. So anyways, his self-immolation became one of the most enduring and haunting images of the war. The average American would have said, well, they're supporting democracy and fighting against communism. And this image of this monk choosing this terrible way to die to protest against American government was really shocking, says Michael Briggs, associate professor of psychology at Oxford University. Some people in the U.S. also self-immolated as a means of protesting during the Vietnam War, which included a Quaker named Norman Morrison who set himself on fire outside the Pentagon while clinging to his child? Excuse me? Yo, chat, I'm shooketh. The tactic has not only been used to protest wars. In India, in the 1960s, the practice was used in protest of implementation of Hindi as a national language. In 2009, a Tibetan monk self-immolated in protest of the Chinese rule in Tibet. In an incident that sparked mass protest in Western China, over 100 monks set themselves on fire over several years. Wow. More recently, the tactic has been used by climate activists to protest climate change. In 2018, David Buckle, a retired American lawyer, set himself on fire in Brooklyn's Prospect Park. In 2022, a climate activist, Wynne Allen Bruce, set himself on fire at a plaza in front of the Supreme Court. And he stated, some other climate activists or scientists said this act is not suicide. Kriti Kano, a climate scientist and friend of Bruce, wrote on Twitter. Oh, it was his friend. Yeah, so Bruce did the act, but then his friend was saying this is not an act of suicide. This is a deeply fearless act of compassion to bring attention to the climate crisis. It is the most violent, non-violent type of action. People are killing themselves in an explicitly gruesome way, says Jack Downey, a professor at University of Rochester, whose research focuses on contemporary justice movements. They're choosing to end their own life as a public statement. The statement is meant to be shocking. Yes! The statement is meant to be shocking, and it is meant to articulate their level of grievance. So it's not... I'm sorry, it's like, in a way, it's kind of like when you call them a hero, sure, like call them brave, like call them like beautiful and wonderful, but a hero, I mean, they're literally giving up in a way, you know? And I know we don't like to admit that. I know that's really sad, and I know that's not like what we want to do as humans, but in a way, they're giving up. And their last hope, their last word that they can leave to the world is how much they are suffering and how much they are feeling the suffering of the collective. It's a very terrible thing. Anyways, if you or somebody you know may be experiencing a mental health crisis or contemplating suicide, call or text 988. In emergencies, call 911 or seek care from a local hospital or mental health provider. So, you know, I think a lot of my like final thoughts on Aaron Bushnell is like, I'm totally down for like honoring him. But you know, what he did was horrible. And I don't mean that judgmentally. I mean, it literally was a horrible thing to witness. Like, it was a horrible act, and it was meant to be. He meant that. And I think the last thing he would want is to be seen as a hero. But, okay. We're going to listen to one of his friends here talk about the situation. We're going to listen to a little bit of this. We actually got a lot of watching material today. Please don't. I don't have to pee again, do I? Yes, I have to pee again. No, I'm sorry. I have to pee again. All right, take 5. Okay. The music's fucking sick. I just found it on YouTube. It's like nothing special. It sounds like elevator music, though. I almost feel like I want to put my camera, like, on the other side. I don't want to sit and fidget with this for a minute, though, do I? I could. I could fidget with this. I could do what I want. It's my channel. It's my channel now. I don't know. I just feel like my face, like, is over here more. Nothing in the background there. Oh, I need my they thems. No, but the they thems. Put that over here. Yep. Put that over there. Lock everything up. And there we go. How's that? Is that better? Does that make more sense? Because, like, my face is facing this way. And it looks like I'm looking at stuff. That's good, right? Look good? We look good? We look good now? No, because my face is like right in front of like the logo. That's funny. Great. You all don't see a logo, right? There's like no logo like hovering over my face. I think it's just like my weird view. Okay, we're good. All right. We're going to listen to this a bit. I don't know. I hope YouTube doesn't shut us down for this because I'm trying to just use this to illustrate a point, but like we'll see.
Now.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York with Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. A warning to our audience. This segment contains graphic images and descriptions.
And this is why I'm like, this stream is not getting monetized. Like,
the morning of February 25th, Aaron Bushnell, a 25-year-old active duty member of the U.S. Air Force, posted on Facebook a link to the video live streaming service Twitch with a caption that read, quote, "Many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during slavery, or the Jim Crow South, or apartheid? What would I do if my country was committing genocide? The answer is, you're doing it right now."
Oh, he's an anarchist.
Aaron Bushnell then sent a copy of his will that he had prepared days before to a friend. In it, he gave his cat to his neighbor to be cared for.
Oh, his cat.
A few hours later, shortly before 1 p.m. local time, Aaron Bushnell walked towards the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., wearing his Air Force uniform. He began the live stream on his phone and spoke as he approached the embassy gates.
I am an active duty member of the United States Air Force, and I will no longer be complicit in genocide. I'm about to engage in an extreme act of protest, but compared to what people have been experiencing in Palestine at the hands of their colonizers.
See, he doesn't seem to me like exactly emotional. He seems out of breath from like walking really fast because he seems like, you know, he's trying to get shit done before somebody intervenes. So I find that interesting, and I've seen this video all the way through, and they're not going to show the whole video.
It's not extreme at all. This is what our ruling class has decided.
In fact, I had to actually hunt really hard for the video, and I ended up finding a link on Reddit.
Be normal.
Aaron Bushnell then placed his phone on the ground, stood in front of the Israeli embassy gate, and doused himself in a liquid.
You see how fast he fucking did that? You see how fast he fucking, like, put the liquid on himself? They're not going to show
Aaron
the whole thing,
Bushnell then placed his phone on the ground, stood in front of the Israeli embassy gate,
really fast,
and doused himself
like
in a liquid before setting himself on fire.
Put the hat back on.
He shouted, "Free Palestine."
Yeah, I don't think I can show that.
A fire extinguisher. And pointing it at seen brand those He was consumed by the flames. Those were his last words. An officer who arrived on the scene can be seen brandishing a gun.
See, this officer is getting so much shit right now for doing that, for pointing his gun, which I don't think we should, like, I don't think the point of this is to focus on the officer, really. We should be focusing on the message, but why did he do that? What did he think he was going to do? The man was on fire, and he's pointing a gun at him. And that guy in the white shirt, he's the one that was like, I don't need another gun, I need another fire extinguisher. Like, almost like, what the fuck are you doing?
And pointing it at Aaron Bushnell as he burns alive and collapses to the ground. Another officer sprays him with a fire extinguisher. As the first officer continues to point his gun at Aaron, the second officer yells, quote, I don't need guns, I need a fire extinguisher.
Okay, that.
Aaron Bushnell was taken to a nearby hospital and pronounced dead several hours later. His extreme act of protest against Israel's assault on Gaza made headlines around the world. Vigils have been held in his honor in Washington.
The only charity I would give to that officer, like the only smidgen of charity I would give that officer, is that he was in such shock seeing what he was seeing that he, like, all reason was just, like, left his head, and he was, like, that's the only way he could react. Because I could only imagine, like, seeing somebody do that to themselves would be really traumatic, right? So that's, like, the only smidgen of like, charity I would give, but otherwise I'm just like, that was not it, dude. That was not the right action. That was not okay. Like, that really, you know. And Mark says, like, inadequate training devoid of nuance. I think that's true. I think there's a lack of training in, like, dealing with, like, emergency situations. Like, the first thing you should go to in your mind in training is, oh, somebody's on fire, put out the fire, instead of pull out a gun.
D.C., here in New York, and San Antonio, Texas, and Portland, and elsewhere. Ali Abu Nima, the founder of the Electronic Intifada, wrote on social media, quote, Aaron Bushnell gave his life so that America would hear his message and the genocide. He kept calling free Palestine through intense, horrifying pain. He gave his life so people in Gaza might live. There's no greater love than that. I feel sadness and awe for this human being, Ali wrote. For more, we're joined by two guests. Ann Wright is a 29-year U.S. Army Reserves veteran who retired as a colonel and a former U.S. diplomat. In March of 2003, she resigned.
Stats.
She has since worked with the anti-war groups Code Pink and Veterans for Peace. She is co-author of Dissent, Voices of Conscience. Her new essay for Common Dreams is headlined, Why Would Anyone Kill Themselves to Stop a War? On Aaron.
Interesting. I've seen a clip of this, but I have not seen the whole thing, and just, like, that's a really interesting take on that by somebody who, like, is very empathetic and understands. There's a lot of war veterans who are very anti-war, like, very vehemently, just, like, absolutely fucking not, and they do many, like, drastic things to protest that. And recently, in Aaron Bushnell's homage and name, there's veterans who are taking their army uniforms and burning them in fires. Now that I feel like is an extreme act of protest where you're still kept safe, is if you were to make a very big public stance of, like, burning your uniform. I guess if you're still on active duty, you know, there's going to be consequences of that, but that probably would have been, frankly, better if he would have done that, walked up to the embassy and burnt his, like, taken a like stripped butt naked, wiener out, and just like burnt his like uniform like right there. But you know, that's not what he wanted to do. So, and I don't mean that as a disrespectful joke. I'm just thinking like that would have still been extreme, but at least he would have been alive, you know? Like that kind of extreme thing. See, that's what I feel like I would do as an extreme act. It's just like strip naked or do something, or like go streaking or something and get arrested.
Bushnell and others. She's joining us from Hawaii. She resigned in 2003 over the war in Iraq. And joining us from Southfield, Michigan, is Levi Pierpoint, who was a friend of Aaron Bushnell. They met at basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in San...
This is sad. So this is Aaron Bushnell's friend. Like his friend, like his buddy. Like they did training together and everything. And he has a lot to say.
Antonio, Texas, in May 2020. Levi went on to become a conscientious objector. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! This is a very difficult segment to do. Levi, we want to begin with you. You were a friend of Aaron. Tell us about him, and then tell us when you learned what had happened. Tell us about how you met, your decision to become a conscientious objector. He stayed in the military, and what you then understand took place this weekend.
Yes, so I met Aaron Bushnell in basic training. And from the first day that I met him, I could tell that he was just a really sweet person. I could tell very quickly that he had a strong sense of justice. We became friends, and whenever people in basic training would talk about me or would talk about him.
I just gotta say real fast, I'm just thinking the thought, you know, for somebody with that deep sense of justice, it's a little bit of a sad waste, because like we really could have used that potential and what they could have taken further with that had they stayed alive, or had he stayed alive. You know? It's almost like we could have benefited more from him staying around and still like pursuing these protests than we would have him just, you know. I'm just thinking. Anyways.
And we would stick up for each other, and he always stuck up for me. And I did end up getting out as a conscientious objector, and we spoke throughout that process. And at the time that I began to make headway with the process and it began to near its end, I got out in July of 2023. He felt like he was already close enough to his own end date that he decided not to take the same path. And I understood that, because the conscientious objector process can take over a year. And so I knew that he was still in, and then he went to do SkillBridge in Ohio, and that's when I met him in Toledo on January 5th. And that was the first time I'd seen him since basic training, and it was unfortunately the last time I saw him. And of course, you know, the other day I heard what had happened, so, yeah.
And our deepest condolences to you, by the way, Levi. When you heard, did you first hear that a man had self-immolated and then hear that it was Aaron?
Yes, so I had just seen the headlines. I don't think I had even clicked one and read anything yet. And yeah, Monday, a friend of mine reached out to me, and she knew that I had been a conscientious objector, knew that I had been in the Air Force, and knew that just the story in general might be difficult for me. She had no idea.
What is a conscientious objector? This is something I'm learning now. Conscientious objector. That is a word to spell. A conscientious objector is a person who refuses to bear arms or serve in the military based on a matter of conscience, rather on moral, ethical, or religious grounds. In the United States, conscientious objections were raised in response to military conscription, the draft. So successful claims of conscientious objection freed the claimant from combatant service and training, usually mandating alternative service for those individuals. Unsuccessful claimants who still refuse their call to service could be in prison. So, okay, so it seems like it's something where it's like you still have to serve in the military, but you adamantly refused or due to conscience to be in any sort of like combat situation. So therefore you would get reassigned or put in a position where you're doing just like administrative work or like office work. So that's what it sounds like to me. So it's like you because if you back out entirely, you can be imprisoned for completely like abandoning the military, but you could opt, sounds like this, to be reassigned to where you're like, I'm not going to go out and fight anything, but if you want me to sit and file shit, sure. Mark says sometimes it means being an ambulance driver instead of infantry, etc. Yeah. So just something that's not like directly related to combating. Like going out and shooting people. So that makes sense. Interesting. Learning something new every day.
That I knew him. And she was the one who ultimately texted me his name. And I just immediately broke down and called her. And I said, that was my friend. I went to basic training with him. And she comforted me, and I just thought about all the conversations we'd had. I went back to the last text message I got from him, and I just wept.
And Levi, in those conversations, did you get a sense of why Aaron initially decided to join the military and how his views evolved about the U.S. military?
Yes, I know when we first talked, we shared similar goals and interests in the military. We wanted to sort of get out of our bubble, to explore the United States, to explore the world, to meet people from other backgrounds. And so I remember when we both found out where we were stationed, it was kind of ironic. I found out I'd be stationed in Minot Air Force Base, and he found out he was going to be going back to Lackland, where we went to basic training. And so we both felt like maybe we were going to explore a little bit less than we thought, but we were ready for our careers. And I know that over the years, both of us shifted, of course, in our beliefs regarding war, largely because of what we saw in the military, largely because of the things that we learned because we were a part of it. And I know that he and I both were encouraged by people on YouTube that were writing video essays about social justice movements in the United States.
I'd like to bring in Ann Wright to the conversation. This issue of self-immolation, we've already had 2 now in protest of the war in Gaza, but you noted that during the Vietnam War, as many as 5 Americans self-immolated themselves in protest against the U.S. involvement in Vietnam. Wondering if you could talk about that. You wrote about that recently for Common Dreams.
Yes, it's a sad situation for sure. I mean, our hearts go out to Aaron's family and Aaron's friends, and the same back in 60 years ago almost now, in 1965, as the U.S. war on Vietnam was starting up. First, we had an 82-year-old Quaker woman, Alice Hertz, committed suicide by self-immolation, and then followed about 6 months later by another Quaker, Norman Morrison, from Baltimore, who went to the Pentagon and set himself on fire, little knowing the place that he had picked at the Pentagon was right below where Secretary of Defense McNamara had his office. And apparently his self-immolation had a strong effect on McNamara, although he didn't stop the war initially, but it did have an effect on him personally and on his family. And then followed by a young man in first in New York at the UN Plaza. So yes, there were 5 people that burned themselves to death over a political decision of the United States to go to war. And so now we have, 60 years later, we have 2 people in less than 3 months who have done the same, I would say, courageous act of taking their own lives to bring the attention of the American public and the world to what the United States is complicit in, which is the Israeli genocide and U.S. genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza.
I just wanted to go through a few more of those examples in history that sent shockwaves.
I think it's interesting she used the term courageous, because I think brave and courageous. Oh, sorry. Ooh. No, don't sneeze again. I think brave and courageous is something that's fair to label it as. Hero, I just don't know. Brave, courageous, absolutely. I mean, for fuck's sakes, the man stood and was on fire for a uncomfortable amount of time, to the point where it's I didn't realize people could stay standing up a flame like that for that long. Anyways.
Through multiple conflicts. You had Thich Quang Duc, a monk who drew attention to the treatment of Vietnamese Buddhists by the government.
Exactly. No one's going to ban you. I don't know what it is you're trying to say. Say it. Let's see if we ban you. Anyways, let's go backtrack a little bit.
Which is the Israeli genocide and U.S. genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza.
I just wanted to go through a few more of those examples in history that sent shockwaves.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit now about self-immolation in history.
Through multiple conflicts. You had Thich Quang Duc, a monk who drew attention to the treatment of Vietnamese Buddhists by the government. And then Mohamed Bouazizi in Tunisia, who sparked the Arab Spring when he set himself on fire. This was before Egypt, and that sparked the uprising in Tunisia. Maliki Richter, a musician who called for an end to the U.S. invasion of Iraq. Pro-Palestine protester also self-immolated outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta in December, but we don't know her name. It hardly got...
See, that's what's so weird to me now. That's what I'm tripping out about at the moment, is there's already been another self-immolation like this. Why is this one getting more media? Why is this one more popularized? Is it because he initially did a stream on Twitch, you think? Because if you're on Twitch and you see somebody do that, you will see that sooner than the media, and then you're going to hit Twitter and be like, oh my god, guess what I just saw. So I can understand why I saw this first on Twitter, because it really was that Sunday night where I'm like, what's going on? And that's when I figured that out. But it's shocking to me, actually, almost more than witnessing and seeing the video of Aaron. It's almost more shocking that somebody else has done this and we don't know anything about it. So what's going on here?
Any attention. And there's been a whole debate in the media right now. Those who talk about it as don't even want to talk. I mean, I think as it started when papers like the New York Times didn't even say he said free Palestine, and other outlets as well. But then as time went on, they did talk about what happened. But the whole issue of going into a debate about mental illness.
Oh, interesting. When the media was starting to cover it, they wouldn't even say that he was saying free Palestine. They just said he did that in protest. That's what are they afraid of?
And not wanting to encourage something like this, versus you hear someone like Ali Abunimah talking about Aaron's incredible bravery. Your thoughts?
Well, it is incredibly brave. And a person, there's no evidence at all that Aaron had any sort of mental illness. He was a very conscientious person who saw what the U.S. was doing in his position in the U.S. military. And one might say, he's not the first person to have committed suicide over what the United States has been doing. If you look, 22 veterans a day commit suicide over what they've done in the U.S. military. So this is what Aaron did was very, very courageous. I can't imagine, taking that step. It was an act of courage, an act of bravery to call attention to U.S. policies.
Levi Pierpont, I wanted to ask you, you grew up as an evangelical Christian. Aaron Bushnell attended Catholic religious services while at basic training. How do you think his religious views informed his beliefs and ultimately his action?
I think ultimately, by the time that he did what he did, he didn't identify with any particular religion. But I know that for me, even though I'm more agnostic than I grew up, my evangelical roots still influence me. They influence my sense of justice, and they told me since I was a young child that you have to stand up for what you believe in. And I can imagine that it was the same way for Aaron. And so even though I don't believe that he still believed in the Catholic faith by the time that he died, I know that upbringing had a profound impact on him, and I'm sure that it influenced his sense of justice.
Levi Pierpont, Aaron was living in San Antonio, where Lackland Base is. He was doing a lot of mutual aid work with people who are unsheltered there, very well known in those encampments. What do you want us to remember him by as you think about him in these last few days, what you're talking about in the vigils and with your friends?
I want people to remember that his death is not in vain, that he died to spotlight this message. I don't want anybody else to die this way. If he had asked me about this, I would have begged him not to. I would have done anything I could to stop him. But obviously we can't get him back, and we have to honor the message that he left. I would have told him that this wasn't necessary to get the message out. I would have told him that there were other ways.
Yes.
But seeing the way that the media responds now that this has happened, it's hard not to feel like he was right, that this was exactly what was necessary to get people's attention about the genocide that's happening in Palestine.
But because of how the media is responding to it, see, this is... No matter what I say, okay, there's going to be some nuance here. But, I mean, just overall as a Neogenian, not about this, you know what I mean? About going that route of protesting in that fashion. Absolutely about innovating new radical protesting ideas that don't harm people, but this just ain't it. However, certainly makes an impact, doesn't it? But this can't be encouraged.
And so I want people to remember his message.
And Wright, your sense of how the movement here in this country to stop this genocidal war in Gaza has been building, and what Aaron Bushnell's sacrifice may contribute to that?
Well, it's a huge, huge movement, and the Biden administration must recognize it, as your previous guest said. I mean, the voters are telling them a message. This is a massive, massive movement of youth, of people of all religions that are saying, by any religious teachings, this killing is wrong. It has to end. And I would say to Levi, you know, we have Veterans for Peace and we have About Face, veterans organizations that would like to offer you support, because this is
beautiful.
tough, really tough.
That's beautiful.
But it's for the people of Gaza, the people of Palestine, that we do this, to stop these horrible, horrible policies that our country has right now, the killing of innocent people. For the United States and for Israel, it has to end, and ceasefire now.
And I understand there is a Gaza flotilla being organized. We only have 30 seconds. Can you explain what that is?
Yes, we need to take action. I mean, right now there's lots of talk. There are trucks that are stalled all over northern Egypt, and our Gaza flotilla movement, we are going to be doing something soon, and we will let you all know, pardon me, as soon as we get the plans for challenging again the Israeli naval blockade of Gaza.
And do you know, Levi, as we have just 10, 15 seconds, would Aaron have described this as suicide?
No, absolutely not.
Explain.
It was, he didn't have thoughts of suicide. He had thoughts of justice. That's what this was about. It wasn't about his life. It was about using his life to send a message.
I want to thank you both so much for being with us. Levi Pierpont.
And see, that's what I mean about he foregoed his avatar self. He foregoed his personality, his self as a person, as a human, as an ego. He decided to sacrifice that as a representation of the suffering of the collective. It really is a death. It is sacrificing yourself, and it's something that you should not have to do. Like, this is not right. Like, perhaps it's not a mentally ill sort of an influenced disparity of, like, you know, he didn't stand up there and say, I can't handle this, I don't know what to do anymore. It was very straightforward, like, I'm doing this as a representation of this. So, you know, don't do that. There's other things you can do. We can innovate, like, new ways, and it doesn't have to be like this, and it shouldn't be like this, and that's the point of it, is it shouldn't be like this. There shouldn't be violence to anyone for any reason at all. So I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all we have to wrap up for that situation. I think I would like to move on. We do have a palate cleanser at the end of the night, by the way. It's kind of funny. So if you think we're going to end the live stream on just all serious topics, like, no, we are going to cover something fun. So the next topic we're going to cover, we're going to go over Next Benedict's interview, body cam interview footage, and react to that, and just give some final wrap-ups on Next Benedict, who... This is another serious issue, because Next Benedict is no longer with us. And then we're going to watch and react to this interview with Chaya Raichik, and because she is, you know, the creator of Libs of TikTok, which is a very anti-trans, very provoking of anti-trans rhetoric, and she even has a handle in, like, Oklahoma Board of Education Library Council Committee thing. I don't fucking know, but which Next Benedict lived in Oklahoma, so there is a connection there, because people are asking the question: is the stuff that Chaya Raichik is saying encouraging people like the girls who ganged up on Next Benedict, and Next Benedict ended up passing away. Oh, chicken check. Chicken check. We gotta check the chickens. Hold on. Checking the chickens. We gotta check. Jesus, that's loud. Oh, it's windy. It's got its head all tucked into its body. Poor little chicken. It's so windy. I wonder where the mate is. I can't tell which eagle that is. I can't tell if that's Shadow or Jackie. But yeah, he's got their little head tucked in. It's windy. The trees blowing all around. Checking the chickens. It's sitting on the eggs. There's like 3 eggs under there, I think. And I think they're just about ready to hatch. So it's going to be really exciting. It just looks like a ball of feathers. Oh, poor chicken. It's so windy. It's so windy. Ow. It's blustery. It's blustering. Okay, I'm gonna grab another soda and I'll be right back. Okay, and we're good. I've had a couple of tortilla chips and a handful of shredded cheese. Now we're set. So worried about that eagle, like, with all the wind. I guess it's okay, though. They don't mind. I mean, they wouldn't build their nest there if they weren't weather resistant, so... I also wonder if they get bored. You know, you just like, you're sitting in your nest every day. And you just like, I don't know, look around. Fuss with the sticks. Shuffle the eggs. Like, I guess they just don't have like the capacity to really think about that. But it's like, I still wonder, I'm like, is that boring? Like, do you get bored? Do they need a television? Something. At least let them watch Mr. Beast videos or something. Put a little phone up there. Some YouTube vids.
she only threw water.
All right. So if you haven't really been caught up with the next Benedict situation, I advise going and watching my latest video I uploaded where I kind of covered the basics. Really the only thing is I have not seen the full body cam of this, and I'm interested to like see what's been said and just like give some thoughts on that. And then we're going to move on to Chaya Raichik. So, as you know, next Benedict was using the girls' bathroom. There's 3 other girls in there, and I think there was some friends too. I don't know. But I guess the girls were just talking a lot of smack, or just, you know, like verbally bullying, and then next decided to pour water on them from his water bottle, and then they proceeded to gang up and like jump necks and kind of repetitively smashed his head into the bathroom floor. And that day, next went to the hospital, which is this footage right here. Now this night, next went home, you know, slept. It was the next day that Nex collapsed on the floor, and by the time the emergency services got there, Nex had passed. So this is the night before Nex's ultimate demise. So this is where Nex went to the hospital and got checked out.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Hello.
Hey, stranger.
Hey,
Oh,
Mr.
you-
Thompson.
I'm on. Oh, Thompson. We spoke on the phone the other day.
Yes.
So,
I'm glad you're here.
So, what happened today?
I got jumped.
Tell me about it. What happened?
They've been antagonizing, you know the people that I got caught with?
You mean from the other day, the
Yeah.
vaping situations?
Yeah,
Okay.
that one. They run this too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Where's my glasses?
Okay, interesting. Hold on. So Nex says, like, not only did Nex and the cop, like, recognize each other, but Nex was like, you know the situation I got caught in with these girls the other day? So already it's, like, establishing a pattern of something going on here, of being antagonized. And what the antagonization is what I want to know. Why are these three girls being so quiet? Like, what's going on? Why are we not hearing anything from those families? Why are we not hearing their side of things? Why are they so quiet?
Sorry. Okay, what I was told, they called me. I'll just start here. They called me, and well, I know all week long she's been in ISP, right? Doing great.
Okay.
And everything. We had a long talk. I mean, we've been doing awesome. And she told me, she said, Mom, she said, these 3 girls there are just, they won't leave me alone. They're making comments. They're calling us names. They're throwing stuff at us. And this is an ISP. I'm like, well, who's over this place? I said, ignore it, Dagny. Get above it. You know, just ignore it.
Sure.
She did until she couldn't in the bathroom.
Okay.
And they said that there was 3 girls that were on top of her, just beating the crap out of her. And I said, okay, so what are we doing about this?
Why is the mom like, I don't know, this weird dynamic where the mom's like saying she. I mean, I guess Nex is comfortable with that, I guess. I don't know, maybe not. I don't know what the thing is there, but it's like a little odd.
Oh, well, in a couple of days we'll talk about it. I said, no, I want something done.
Who said it in a couple of days?
The principal.
Okay.
Why are they saying that? I said, I think we need to have a police officer. It's assault. Because she never touched them.
Okay.
She never touched them. Now she
But
did.
based on your understanding.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
she did, and everyone has said it. She did throw some water at them because they, you know.
So let me, and I appreciate, Mom, you filling it in, but Miss Dagny, why don't you tell me?
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good, Mom. You're good.
Okay, I'm just mad. I'm very mad.
Sure. And I don't want to cut you off, but I like to hear from, especially the older they are,
Yes.
that they can tell me essentially
Yeah.
what happened.
Okay.
So let me ask you this first. and I'm taking this off of what Mama just said, so clear up the confusion. When this first started happening, whatever this is going, this banter back and forth between you and the other individuals, did you at any point contact any school administration, whether it be counselor, the teacher that sits in that classroom? Did you let any of them know at any point in time?
No.
Okay. And I'm just asking, it's not right or wrong, but why not?
I didn't really see the point in it. I told my mom though.
Sure. But you didn't tell the school where they could actually do something. At any point during this whole situation, and I use the word loosely, but
why would he? Why would he report that if it's a school system in Oklahoma where like their whole leadership of school administration is in its very nature transphobic? So where's the safety in that? Where's the protection? Like, how can you go to that school system and say, hey, these girls are saying transphobic comments when they don't give a shit? They've already established that. So that's where I'm compassionate there.
the bantering or whatever it is going back and forth between you guys. Obviously, you know each other. Obviously, you both
we don't know each other.
Well, you know of each other with the vape situations and all that. Or
No, before this we had no work life. Before this ISP thing, we never saw each other. The freshmen were sophomore.
Okay.
We didn't know any.
Okay.
I don't know their names. I don't know.
Okay, so they just up and decided to just start messing with you. There was
because of the way that we dress.
Okay, so you didn't do anything at all at any point in time that would have, even a couple days ago or even a month ago or anything like that.
I don't know these girls.
Okay, all right. So they just continued to pick on you and pick on you. Then at some point, you did what happened? They got up and confronted you in class, or did you say it was the bathroom or the hallway? Okay, the bathroom.
We were going to stack chairs, and after we stacked chairs, we went to the bathroom.
Okay.
And I was talking with my friends, they were talking with their friends, and we were laughing, and they had said something like, "Why do they laugh like that?" And they were talking about us in front of us. And so I went up there and I poured water on them.
Okay.
And then all three of them came at me.
Pouring the water, because I'm trying to get this in my mind so I see, as best
I had
I
a
can.
water bottle.
Thank you. That's exactly. Where did you get this water? Was it a cup you found? Was it your water bottle?
It's my
your daily water bottle you'd carry around. Okay.
It was a plastic water bottle.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so you squirted them with water, or threw water on whatever it was. Okay. Then at that point, what happened?
They came at me. They grabbed onto my hair. I grabbed onto them. I threw one of them into a paper towel dispenser, and then they got my legs out from under me and got me on the ground and started beating the shit out of me.
Okay.
And then my friends tried to jump in and help, but I'm not
so
sure
the friends were there.
When did this happen today?
Around 1.
Okay, so around lunchtime?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to follow up, Mom, as far as you're concerned. I'm going to definitely follow up with the school tomorrow morning. Figure out.
Where's the doctor trying to steer the conversation? So the doctor would have already treated. Like, the police come in after they've been treated and been medically cleared. And now this is an investigation. So the only information the doctor needs is medical information. The police officer needs the information on what happened.
Because, yes, any criminal type action, the school is supposed to give us a call.
That's right.
So whether they just got, and I'm not making excuses for them, but I've seen it happen both ways. Either maybe they forgot, maybe there was other things going on, who knows? But the fact of the matter is they dropped the ball on this one of not notifying me right away.
I told them I wanted something done.
Sure.
I said, that is assault. She never laid her hands. Now, she did the water. That was wrong.
Well, and I'll explain the criminal side of that in just a second. Okay. But as far as the school goes,
criminal for throwing
just
water.
for what it's worth, just saying, I will speak to the school tomorrow. Not that it's going to make it any better, but I'm also going to gather all the information I can from all parties. Okay, so not only talking to you.
Yeah, so the officer does have to steer the conversation. He has to steer the conversation in such a way where he gets the facts in order of what needs to be, like, the information he needs. Yeah, exactly, Mark. Leading questions. Yeah, they're supposed to do that. They have to get Nexus side of the story of what happened, like a play by play, like precisely.
Guys, but I am going to go talk to all the other parties tomorrow as well,
Yes.
and their guardians as well, and all that good stuff. Okay, but yes, typically they're supposed to, but they're human.
I know, but if I tell them, why wouldn't they do it?
I don't know. I can't account for. So, not only talking to you guys, but I am going to go talk to all the other parties tomorrow as well,
Yes.
That was weird.
and their guardians as well, and all that good stuff. Okay, but yes, typically they're supposed to, but they're human.
I know, but if I tell them, why wouldn't they do it?
I don't know. I can't account for
was there,
that.
she
I
asked.
don't know.
And they told me I had to
But
wait.
also, Mom, and again, I'm not taking their side or anything. I'm just telling you, just parent to parent kind of thing, adult to adult.
Thank you for being a
Nothing
member for
says that
6
you
months,
can't pick up the
Becca.
phone either.
That's what I did.
But I mean, before even being here at the school, hey, 911. I'm at whatever school. I'm at the West Campus. I've asked the school to contact one of the school resource
Okay.
officers. They're not doing it in a timely manner. Dispatch me one out. Then they get on my main side channel. Hey, Officer Thompson, come out just like right now. Officer Thompson, we've got a student with an altercation, a situation that happened at the West Campus sometime today. Can you go follow up now at the ER? So that'll just get me to the high school that much quicker.
Okay.
For your preference. You see what I'm
Okay,
saying?
so I should have went ahead and did it.
If the school does not.
I mean, when it comes to processes, like black and white, like on paper, like certain processes by law enforcement, he is technically correct. Nex should have mentioned something to the counselor, but perhaps it didn't go on long enough for Nex to feel like he should say something. And it is speculation to say that perhaps those girls were making transphobic comments. I don't know what kind of comments they made to, aggravate the situation and provoke Nex. But where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. Hold on.
Want to call? You have every right as a.
Oh, but yeah, Nex. I don't know, like, if Nex would have had time to say something, if it would have been like a part of his life enough to like say something, but then it's like there's the question of like, why didn't the mother like report it like sooner? That is fair to say. It doesn't mean that Nex deserved that demise. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, like, when it comes to processes, like the officer is looking for like steps to like signify and back up like what's going on, and they're just not there so far. It would have helped the investigation better if these things were taking place, but they weren't, so it does make it more difficult. It's not necessarily like horrible of them and wrong of them and completely like validates everything that happened to Nex, but it would have helped.
Guardian.
Okay.
I want a police officer. If the school's not going to do it, fine. You take the initiative. You pick up the phone, and you go ahead and call and say, "I would like an officer here."
Okay.
They can't. I will show up.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if it comes through the channel of the school or the channel of the city.
Yeah.
I will get both feeds. I will be there one way or another.
Okay.
So just food for thought for the future.
Okay. Well, hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Well, just anything in life, you know.
Yeah.
Now,
That's so heartbreaking to hear, because it's not going to happen again because Nex is gone.
as to the specifics of the criminal crime, okay, this is what I'm going to tell you. Yes, I can technically do a report for the assault and battery, absolutely. Okay, because it's unwanted touching of one individual to another. They put their hands on.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mark. He's trying to teach situation management. Yeah, like this is how you manage a situation, but like people don't think like that, you know, where with officer training and stuff, like they're taught to do things in steps and in a process. So when there's steps missing, it makes it harder to judge the situation.
On you, okay, and it was unwanted. I will also tell you, though, that old saying, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, meaning the way the courts are going to look at it is it's a mutual fight, okay? So both parties are victims, but both parties are also suspects in this. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're offender as well. So I will absolutely...
And this is probably what's going to make the case very fucking difficult, like, if there's any case at all, is that at this point, it is considered a mutual fight.
Do a report. If that's what you want, I can do. Okay, but I'm just letting you know. If the other party wants to do the same thing, she's going to be, the assault will be on her as well, because she first assaulted. She was the one who initiated it, essentially, because you got freedom of speech. You can do all this all day long. Mm-hmm. The action of physically, the moment she threw that water, you've now assaulted somebody. You made the first jab. Just because it doesn't make it right, but they defended themselves, quote unquote. You retaliated back. Now we've got this back and forth when both parties had equal opportunity to separate. So that's where I'm saying it's...
Unfortunately, I don't think it's fair. I mean, and he did say it doesn't make it right. Like, it doesn't make it right that they ganged up on Nex and slammed his head into the fucking ground. That doesn't make that right. However, unfortunately, there is this stupid freedom of speech thing, and somebody can sit and say shit to you all they want. It's unfortunate, but this is where it gets into the gray area of like what's considered hate speech and not. But there's no confirmation, or even from Nex at this moment, that any of the hate or any of the things that the girls were saying was particularly transphobic.
It's not going to be in the best of light for you, but I can absolutely do that if that's what you like. I'm just telling you, it may not go the direction you want it to go. I am not the judge. I'm not the jury. I'm here to just say, this is the facts. This is what's presented. But mom as guardian, because essentially juvenile cannot make that legal decision. If you want to proceed with it, absolutely. I will have you write out a statement. I'll document it, but I'm going to have to do the same thing for them. And if they say that, I'm going to gather their information as well. And based on...
We also don't have any evidence that they didn't. So keep that in mind.
Her own admittance on camera as well as whenever else, she essentially started it.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to drag her under the bus or anything like that. I'm just letting you know this is what will probably happen going forward.
Yeah.
But I can absolutely do that if that's the documentation that you would want through the criminal side. Now, through the school side, the school has their own... It's a zero tolerance, just like the vapes. If all parties involved, everyone gets in trouble. With this one, it's more of we're going to cut down, see what elements meet any kind of specific crime. If she was, when she was first explained to me, hey, I didn't do a dang thing, minding my own business. I went to the bathroom, they followed me in there, and they attacked me. Okay, she's a true victim of assault and battery. She did nothing, but the fact that she threw that water, it kind of puts her.
Even though she didn't put hands on them.
It's still assault and battery. It's salt. The water.
The water.
You see what I'm saying? If you had not have done that.
Technically, but keep in mind it's not equal in like effect, right? Like throwing water on somebody is not the same effect as like somebody smashing your head into the ground. But it is both technically assault, but keep in mind it does not mean like they're the same. They're regarded as the same thing as far as like the effect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Victim all day long, and I got you. And I still got you because I'm here to just put the facts down. I'm not here to, but I'm just telling you, this is a good chance of the direction it will go when it goes to the ADA or when it goes to the judges. They're going to look at it and say, okay, let's break it down piece by piece, element by element. Who actually started the situation? Running the mouth is freedom of speech.
Yes.
Unfortunately. You can say mean, hurtful things all day long. And you got to let it roll off your shoulder. The moment someone retaliates or does something physically, or a directive threat verbally, now you have something. Throwing that water on there, just because it's water doesn't make it any better. It could have been urine. It could have been paint. It could have been anything.
What about, because there was 3 of them, and she only threw water on one?
Doesn't matter. I mean, it matters for the school. The school's going to everyone's going to be disciplined. That everybody that went in there, everyone that was in her group, everybody that was in the other group. It doesn't matter if there's 30 of them fighting. They're all going to be disciplined in the school. From a criminal side of things, it doesn't make it, okay, you had 3 versus 1. It doesn't matter. What matters is who started it. And how bad of a situation, like, was there weapons involved? Was there not? Things like that. Okay. But the biggest part is the fact that it's a mutual fight. So they all are victims, but they're all suspects. But she's in a little bit more of a situation because she's the one who started it by throwing a object or an item onto another individual, starting the incident. She's the one who started the domino effect.
Yeah.
If she had never done that, and I'm not blaming you. If you had not have done that, we may not even be here. Or they would have went ahead and did their thing to you, you know? Okay, now again, hey, I was in the bathroom with my friends, minding my own business. They started yapping. We started yapping, but nothing happened. Then they threw us in the wall. Okay. Now I have again, a true victim. But again, I'll show you, essentially, shut your mouth as soon as you hit them with water.
I hate to say this, but with a very, take this as a grain of salt, okay? But if you're in a fucking, like, heated, like, confrontation with somebody verbally, make sure you don't make the first punch, right? If they throw the first punch, great. Don't antagonize them to make the first move. But if they're threatening it, I mean, let them. Then defend yourself.
Okay.
Does not give them the right to do it by any means. It still does not give them the right to put their hands on you at all. That's why I say they're just as guilty as you are, 100%. It's just, I hate to see you both, criminally wise, get hung up on something so minuscule. But I am here to do that if that's what you like.
Okay, what I want done,
it's minuscule for now until next passes. Then it's not going to be so fucking minuscule at all. Then we're going to have fucking questions. Why precisely were those girls motivated to pick on Nex? What the fuck was their motivation? Like, let's examine that.
What I would like done, and I hope you agree, is that you go to the school and find out why they did not call you. And you know what I mean? I want that to be known because they are in the wrong for that.
Oh, I agree with you.
I was wrong. I didn't know I could right there and then. They said, okay, well, in 24, 48 hours, when I get all of our statements and this and that, then we'll call someone in if you want. And I'm like, okay, I thought that's the way it was done. And then I talked with my sister, and she said, no, hon, when you take her up there, get someone up there right away.
Yeah. And I will certainly, absolutely have their talk. And I will document my own internal with my notes because, again, there's a digital call here for this. So it's not like there's no, I mean, it's not a formal report, but there's a digital. And in that note, I'm going to explain, I'll put in there the fact that I explained the options to you. You chose, hey, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but essentially you do not want a formal prosecute right now.
Yeah.
And right now you would rather handle it civilly, internally, if you will, between parent, guardian, and the school.
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't mean you can't civilly sue them. It doesn't mean that you can't have protective orders against them. I'm just giving you those options.
I just want those girls to know that they need to, because they actually started everything from the get-go.
Okay.
They, from what I understand from talking with the friend, I know all the girls.
Okay.
And she told me, and then separately she told me, and the stories, I mean, it wasn't like they were together saying, okay, this is what happened.
And that's my plan is to find out tomorrow with the admin. What is all going on from all sides, all corners.
There you go.
And if I can get additional facts of anything, Mom, I don't have a problem. I'll contact you and let you know, hey, look, there's more to the story, or this is what is believed to be.
I want the parents to know
and
what
we'll
I want the parents to know also what their girls are doing.
So right, and so with that, because
this police officer is trying to be the mediator, but like I'm pretty sure there's been words had with those girls that's like, hey, just even though it's wrong, somebody pours water on you, you don't fucking bash their fucking head into the goddamn ground.
Juvenile, I can't tell you what is
right. I just want you to let them.
So what I can tell you is, I will be on conversation with the school, however that capacity may be, with the parent.
Yes.
So if I'm able and I have the ability to sit down with parent and say, look, this is what's what, which is what I'm hoping for, then absolutely.
Yes.
If it's a situation where it's already been handled for whatever reason and I'm behind on catching up to all that, I'm not going to call parents in after the fact and rehash everything all over. Yeah. But with you, I don't mind calling you saying, okay, look, this is what the school has said. This is the information I've gotten. Mom, this is where I'm at now at this point, kind of thing. I have no problems with that.
Okay.
And if you decide to change your mind, I mean, tomorrow morning when I call you, mid-morning, before noon, if you say, hey, look, I slept on it. I really feel like I want to go ahead and pursue. Absolutely, Mom. Okay. Then you can come up to, I can send you an email with a digital, so you don't have a hard copy here. I'll send you a digital print of our witness statement. You can fill that out on her behalf of what she told you, kind of thing. I don't know, are you going to be at school tomorrow? Or
no.
Okay, they're going to keep you
They
at home.
suspended her.
Okay, so, well, and again, yeah, that's the school thing. But you'll be home. So if you say, look, I was restless sleeping last night, we think we'd rather go ahead and do it. Not a problem.
Okay.
I'll still take care of you. I'll just reopen this call. I'll start a report. I'll send you an email. You can fill it out with her. What she says, don't ad lib, just put the facts. And I will be asking you that when I call you. That'll be the first thing I ask you before I give you additional information.
Okay.
Because I don't want to sway you one way or another.
Yeah.
Well, here's additional facts. Ooh, well then this, that, and the other. I would say, Mom, you've had 12 hours of sleep on it. As a guardian, what do you want to do as a parent? You make the decision, kind of thing. If you stand by it, I'm with you. If you change your mind, so be it. And then once you send me the email back and I get it all confirmed by replying back with the case number and all that. So that way you have a number associated. You can go to the records and obtain that if you want. Now, it won't give you very many facts of anything. It's going to be the basic who, what, when, where, whys to everything. But to get the actual detail of everyone's statements, schools, parents, kids, all that stuff, you have to actually subpoena for it and all that, Records Act and all that. But I don't think that's necessary personally.
See, Vibrational says, where were the friends during the head bashing? They were on top of the girls trying to break up the fight. Like, I mean, there is a lot of people involved.
But that's your prerogative. But I will follow up tomorrow morning with you sometime.
Okay.
Between 9 and noon.
That's fine.
Depending on what other calls I get through the 15 schools. And we'll go from there.
Okay.
If medically here, she's got a fractured this, that, the other, whatever it may be, that documentation, have that as well. Because if you decide to move forward with wanting to press charges and there is something legitimate, more than just a scratch, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Something that's, okay, then we can document that and go from there, okay? But I'm just giving you I'm just vomiting everything to you right now.
Yeah, I'm going to talk with her some more, and I know she's hurting right now.
It's bad.
Well, I mean, it always hurts when you get in a fight. Whether you're the winner or the loser.
Yeah.
It stresses the body out and it's really not worth it.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that's what I'll do. Like I said, I'll get with school as soon as I can in the morning.
Okay.
Try to get what I can, and we'll go from there.
Chastise them for not calling.
Well, we'll definitely have a talk about that because they know better. And I will say, for what it's worth, I've worked with her for 5 years. She's typically spot on, meaning the one who was with us in our conversation. She is she's one of the best in that school of
that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, so if I was a betting person, I would venture to say that there was something else a little bit more precedent, that was going on. Not that this was not, but I think, like anything, maybe it was a little overwhelming. Maybe she had something else going on, and it just slipped her mind probably.
Okay.
because as soon as I sent her a text message, just said, "Do you know anything about a fight at the school? Because I'm going to the ER." And she goes, oh my gosh, yes. Can I call you? Get with?" I said, "I'm pulling up to the ER now. I'll get with you tomorrow." And she's like, "Okay, I'm so sorry. Yes, there was an incident at the end of the day. I'll get with you tomorrow." And I was like, "Get ready to fill out statements and everything else because I need to know details." And she said, "Yes, sir, I know." So,
All right, thank you.
if it was any other individual, I may be a little bit more harsh about it, but she's usually on her toes, usually. So, but I'll get with your mom.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you for coming up here. It's nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you in person. Good luck to you. I'll see you around.
Hopefully not. Well, no, hopefully not. She said that.
Well, not in a bad way. I mean, hopefully I see you around school and class and wander in the halls and all that good stuff.
Yes,
you can smile and wave and say, "Hey, Thompson," and you know all that good stuff. So,
Yeah. All right.
all right,
Thank you.
you guys have a good evening.
Not gonna happen, sadly, because shortly after this, Next passed away.
Owasso 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Okay, so I've never heard this. This might be upsetting. Just warning. This is the 911 call the next day when Nex passed out and hit the floor.
Yes, down at the dead end, down from the...
Doge says she died. How? Well, she was released, or him, sorry. They keep referring to him as she, but really it's him. He was released from the hospital. Then the next day, around this time, randomly, Nex just passed out and hit the floor. Like, the hospital released Nex saying, like, okay, you're fine, but let us know if you feel sick or you have a, you feel dizzy, you might have a concussion. But it was like the next day where Nex just like hit the floor and just was like gone. Like a brain. We don't know. We don't have the autopsy report. The police came out and said that it wasn't due to head trauma, but they said it was still in investigation. So that could have just been what they know so far, not necessarily what they're actually saying. So anyways, let's listen to this 911 call. If you don't like, go take a break for a minute if you don't want to hear this. I haven't heard this. I'm interested.
Fire station. I need to get someone, an ambulance here quick, please.
Okay, what's
My
going
daughter,
on?
I don't know what's going wrong. She's posturing, and her hands
How
are
old
in, and
is she?
she is 16.
Okay.
She fell at school, she got beat up at school yesterday. I took her to the hospital last night, and Officer Thompson was there. I need someone to get a hold of him. He needs to get here quick. She's not doing good at all. I need someone here now.
Okay, listen, I have medics on the way. I want to know how her breathing is.
She's breathing in, but then her eyes they open, but she's doing like a, like a really quick, and her hands are posturing already. They're rolling in like I don't know if it's from her head injury, because the girls that beat her up knocked her to the ground, and she hit her head on the bathroom floor. And when I got there, the school was like, I think you might need to take her to the hospital. And I'm like, okay. And she kept saying she had a headache. I took her in.
This is information I don't need. I need to know and make sure that she's breathing okay and stuff like that. About you yesterday, it doesn't matter to me. You said
she's breathing in. She's breathing in, but doing like shallow breaths and.
No, heretical response. I was kind of having the same thoughts. I'm like, doesn't seem... different people respond differently to emergency situations. So, I mean, there's always going to be nuance there, no matter how we feel like we would respond in the situation. But it's like, she kind of just, like, went off on a thing for a minute about like the incident at school, which I probably just like trying to get information out there, but then like the operator's like, no, this isn't information I need. So yeah, I just had like a weird thought of just like this, the tone of her voice just seems like a little off to me, but that doesn't mean anything. And, different, like I said, different people respond differently. Some people get really emotional during emergency situations, and some people go emotionally flat, like their emotions cut off. Like there's different kinds of people in that sense.
And out.
Okay.
And her eyes are kind of rolling back.
Does she take any medication?
No. She does at night, yes, but she hasn't had none today.
Okay. And does she take any illegal drugs? Not that I care. I just need to know. Okay.
No, she does not. No.
She doesn't smoke or vape or any of that stuff?
She has vape, yes.
Okay. Does she ever get a hold of a vape that has anything in there? Do you think that she could have got a hold of anything?
No, she has not. No. No, ma'am. I'm putting my dogs up right now.
Okay, yeah. Put your dogs up. What's your name?
My name is Sue Benedict.
And what's your phone number? Okay, but she is breathing like we don't need to start CPR. That's just my main concern right now.
No. I would have done that already. I was a nurse. I went to nursing school.
Okay.
Okay, so she went to nursing school. So she might, because she went to nursing school, she's probably trained in that capacity to, be pretty straightforward. I'm trying to explain this. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, well, I have the medics on the way to you, so they'll be pulling up in a minute. So, yeah, if you could make sure that you have your dogs
yeah, they're
put up.
I got them all up.
Is
I got
that,
them caged.
There's no apartment number or anything with your address, is
No,
there?
I'm at
Okay. And you said
I got my front door open.
What does she take at night? What medication does she take at night?
I'm gonna get it. I'm just keeping an eye on her to make sure she's still breathing in.
Yeah, or what is it for, I guess?
I keep it put up. It's for anxiety, and she can be mood swings, fluoxetine, and quintiapine.
Duloxetine? I think she said duloxetine and quetiapine. I take those. It's like an antidepressant and did I hear that right? Oh, hey, Morg. Thank you so much for the super chat. I gotta go back to what she said she'd take, because I swear to God it was like duloxetine and quetiapine or whatever.
I'm gonna get it. I'm just keeping an eye on her to make sure she's still breathing in.
Yeah, or what is it for, I guess?
I keep it put up. It's for anxiety, and she can be mood swings, fluoxetine, and quintiapine. That's how you say it.
Seroquel, yeah. So, yeah, that's the sleeping pill I take at night.
Okay.
But she only takes that at night, about 8 o'clock at night before she goes to bed. And I keep it put up, so.
Fluoxetine is okay, so she's on Prozac and Seroquel.
Okay, I hear sirens. I got my front door open.
I'm sorry. The reason I keep saying she is because they keep saying she, and it keeps fucking with my brain.
I don't see him yet. Okay.
Okay, how's her breathing?
She's still taking breaths in. I don't want to interrupt it, but her hands are postured. You know what I mean? They're in.
Mm-hmm. Has she ever had any kind of...
Okay, so this maybe makes sense why she's a little bit flat in her tone, because she keeps saying things like her hands are, or his hands are postured, which is, to me, is like a medical term. And so I feel like this is more of just like the nursing school and the nursing training.
like seizure or anything before?
No, she hasn't.
Okay. Can she still like look at you? Like if you're...
No, her eyes are rolled up. Her eyes are rolled up and kind of... Gosh, I hope this ain't from her head. They're supposed to have checked her out good. God damn it.
Did she go to
I wanted them. She had a bunch of, here's the paramedics.
Oh, they're there with you? Okay, I'll let you go.
Well, they're not inside yet, but they're here. They're backing up.
Okay.
You want to let me go?
I'll let you go.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, next, Benedict was transported to St. Francis Children's Hospital in Tulsa, where they were pronounced dead. And the police are now doing an investigation to it. We have no autopsy report released, and they might not even release it to the public, and it really depends. So, because of this incident, there's been this arise because this happened in Oklahoma, and this has to do with the sort of head of education in that state, that guy who's really transphobic, Ryan something or other. And then I covered this in the video I just posted Wednesday, so if you want to go back and watch that, watch it. But then there's Chaya Raichik that was appointed as the library committee in Oklahoma education, and Chaya Raichik is extremely transphobic, and she runs that Libs of TikTok thing where it's not a nice painting thing. It's very judgmental, and it's very just trollish, and she's very much one of those chronically online people, where she has her echo chamber of people online who are totally transphobic, and they all love to say things eradicate transgenderism and things like that, those kinds of people. Go through and watch my own video. Oh my god, that'd be so funny. Maybe just the part where I talk about her, because I don't want to fucking say that shit again. Let's see. Okay. I think it's about here. This all happened in Oklahoma. There's a lot of talk about Ryan Walters. Ryan Walters, who is an American educator and politician who has served as the elected Oklahoma Superintendent or Public Instruction since 2023, and who served as the appointed Oklahoma Secretary of Education between September 2020 and April 2023. So this guy's got a lot of hand in saying in schools and things like that, and quite often expresses disdain for anybody trans or LGBTQ. So Ryan Walters, the Oklahoma Superintendent of Public Instruction, doesn't recognize the existence of transgender or non-binary people, even after the death of a bullied non-binary teenager. Next, Benedict, go away. There's no multiple genders, he says. This freaking character says there's two. That's how God created us. And he did not believe that non-binary or transgender people exist, and that the state would not let students use names or pronouns or other than those matching their birth records. He also says you always treat individuals with dignity or respect because they are made in God's image. But that doesn't change the truth. Okay, well, that's very conflicting. I mean, if you're claiming that you want respect and dignity to all individuals, you're not respecting them by denying their identity. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of part of the conversation that people miss. When transphobic people are people are just well, I can say whatever I want about trans, including that they don't exist. And that's freedom of speech. It's well, yeah, it is, but every element of genocide begins with dehumanizing language. It begins with normalizing language that dehumanizes people, and then it further progresses to physical violence, and then so on and so forth. That's why it's considered violent language. Sure, there's freedom of speech, and you can be rude and you could be critical, but when you start dehumanizing somebody and normalizing dehumanizing language around a certain group of people, then you start normalizing things to a point where it gets to genocide, and that's what we're trying to avoid. No, I'm talking right now. This other Jan, I'm because I don't want to repeat things about the guy in Oklahoma and his anti-trans like ideas, because you know he's like the head of the school board or whatever, and then we're going into Chaya Raichik. So like just listen to other me for a minute. Just because you think, you know, it's not true. You know who else just doesn't think it's true? That libs of TikTok woman. Chaya Raichik, who is a former real estate agent and uses a TikTok account to post derogatory things mocking LGBTQ people. Like, that's just her shtick. Wow, her Wikipedia is gone. That's fine. I don't use Wikipedia that much anymore. Yeah, I noticed that. She no longer has a Wikipedia. Anyways. But anyways, the Oklahoma superintendent appointed her to be a part of the library committee there, which is really interesting to have a woman who has a TikTok account created to just troll people, and you want them to hold a professional position involving children when she acts like a child herself. So, but the stuff she spews on her her content that she spews out is very derogatory, and it really does encourage people to treat trans people without any dignity or respect, just like Ryan Walters does as well. So there's a lot going on in Oklahoma, and that's why there's a lot of eyes on these people. Now, she recently had an interview, Chaya did, and I'm going to save that interview, and I've been trying so hard not to watch it. Okay, yeah, I've been trying hard not to watch this interview with Chaya, but you guys get like,
you know what, is that a public park or?
You get the premise. Like, Nex died in Oklahoma, okay? A state where trans people aren't protected at all. Nex was trans. Head of the school board, whatever, like top dog, is very transphobic and had this TikTok, like libs a TikTok lady be in charge of like the library committee, which involves like accepting or banning certain books and material in schools, while this lady has a social media account where she literally just trolls the woke liberals. Like, that's literally like her whole profession. So that's why I was saying in my video, I don't understand why this woman is being appointed for this library committee like position, you know, determining what books children read, when she herself is a fucking child. Worst kind too. In fact, children act better than her in some cases. So we're gonna watch this interview.
Do you know what? Is that a public?
With her, and I need to. Yes, I need to pee again before I start this, because this is long. We might not even finish this. But we'll get through it. Jan squared. Yeah, I bet the other Jan doesn't have to pee right now. The other Jan is dead. I killed them. Anyways. So, to the right, we have Chaya Raichik, lives a TikTok transphobic lady. And to the left, we have the interviewer. Where the hell is this in LA? I swear I've been here. You know, is this in LA? I don't know. Anyway, no, it's in Oklahoma. I'm so dumb. Anyways, let's go.
Park, or is that a private?
No, private.
Private. All right. Well, we'll try to keep it short.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh, the struggles of LA. I swear. Okay. Well, now that we're going. So thank you so much for meeting. First of all, I saw Seth Dillon today saying that you guys are no longer affiliated. What happened with there? I know that he invested in you early, was a huge supporter of you. What happened to that relationship?
Just parted ways.
For what reason?
Personal reasons.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What, you didn't align
Totally amicable. I love Seth.
Yeah.
He's a great mentor.
So why wouldn't you want him involved, or, you know, why isn't he involved in the business anymore?
Just personal reasons. I'm not going to get into it.
Oh, okay. When did that sort of break off?
Recently.
Uh-huh. So how many staffers? Tell me a little bit more about your organization.
We are a small team, just a couple people.
And it's all distributed?
It's what?
It's all distributed, as in it's all remote, pretty much? Or do you guys do you have any office space?
It's remote, yeah.
Got it. So when did you start, I guess, what got you into all this? I've always wanted to ask you. I know, I wrote about sort of the history of your Twitter account, but how did you get involved in politics?
If you watch any of my interviews, I talk about this all the time. But just, COVID radicalized me.
Yeah. In what way?
And they were like forcing us to wear masks and not letting us leave our homes. Yeah. And, not letting us work and people losing their jobs. And then people now forcing a vaccine, an experimental vaccine, people dying from the vaccine.
Well, we got an anti-vaxxer in our hands. Just as well. Oop, I farted.
So how did that get you interested in LGBTQ issues?
It got me interested in politics, and then...
Okay, here's the question. What got you interested in LGBTQ issues? And now she's saying it got me interested in politics, and
then once I was interested in politics, I stumbled upon this whole movement, and I was absolutely appalled by what I was seeing.
Appalled by what?
The radicalization of it, the way that they come after our most innocent and vulnerable population, or kids. The way that it makes there's nothing logical about it. There's nothing logical about chopping off kids' body parts. There's nothing logical about giving kids porn.
What? Nobody's chopping off kids' body parts, and nobody's giving kids porn. What in the fuck? Yo, this is like if the internet, was a real person. This is like the internet as a person.
Cool. There's two sexes, and that's it. So, anything out of that, it's just based on lies and nonsense.
Yeah. Did you grow up, I know you grew up in a sort of a more conservative community. Did you know any LGBTQ people growing up? What was your exposure to that community just in life prior to sort of understanding the world through politics?
I never really paid attention to it.
So you didn't have any LGBTQ friends or anything,
No.
family members?
No.
So your first exposure to the LGBTQ world was through basically learning about it through the media ecosystem?
Through themselves, actually. They would say exactly what their intentions are, what their whole movement is about.
Uh-huh.
So I learned about it through watching their own videos.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, I don't know. What sort of videos were you watching? Are you just talking about the TikToks that you share and stuff?
And tons more on TikTok. It's all over TikTok.
Yeah.
Very easy to find.
Yeah. I'm curious, I feel like there's been, especially on, my colleagues have done great reporting on sort of like this rift on Twitter. I know that you have a very conservative fan base, and in your comments sometimes you'll see a lot of commentary about sort of the great replacement theory. What are your thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts on the comments on your post telling me to kill myself?
Horrible.
Wait,
yeah,
what?
horrible. Obviously against that. Yeah.
So what do you?
Okay, let's pay attention here. Backtrack it. So, pretty much, she's asking Chaya pretty much about like the pretty much getting to the end of the shrubbery maze, which is what Chaya is often like under scrutiny for, is promoting and saying anti-trans material to the point where it encourages other people to leave very threatening messages on trans people's profiles. And now Chaya is trying to rebuttal that with, well, everything people say about me, or everything you say about me, you know, people leave threatening comments on my end. So this is very hypocritical here. Let's back up and listen closely. Okay, lock in.
Say exactly what their intentions are, what their whole movement is about. So I learned about it through watching their own videos.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. What sort of videos were you watching? I mean, are you just talking about the TikToks that you share and stuff?
And tons more on TikTok. It's all over TikTok.
Yeah.
Very easy to find.
Yeah. I'm curious, you know, I feel like there's been, especially on, my colleagues have done great reporting on sort of like this rift on Twitter. I know that you have a very conservative fan base, and in your comments sometimes you'll see a lot of commentary about sort of the great replacement theory. What are your thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts on the comments on your post telling me to kill myself?
Horrible. Yeah, horrible. Obviously against that. Yeah.
So will you come out and condemn that publicly?
Oh, I would condemn it anytime. I'm against murdering anyone, of course.
So you're against death threats against me?
I'm a big, you know, as somebody that's dealt with a lot of online harassment, I don't defend threatening to murder anyone. But I guess I'm curious, you know,
because a lot of times it comes after an attack in the media, like someone like you or another journalist.
So are you saying that, like, you know, if somebody posts something and then attacks follow, that person should answer for those attacks?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that people like you tell me that all the time.
No, that's exactly what's happening, you bitch. That's exactly what you do. No, I don't think. But so she's sitting here saying, well, what you say about me, I get death threats, and then the reporter's like leading in with that, like, yeah, like, isn't that funny how, like, people get death threats after, like, somebody reports badly about them? And she's like, no, this is painful. Chaya's deflection, like, just is so painful right now.
So I'm just asking if you think the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think I have said that here, but I think it's kind of interesting, I guess, in the conservative movement, there's this ideology around sort of white nationalism, which is obviously kind of a part.
Susan says, but does Chaya tell her followers not to tell trans people to kill themselves? No, she doesn't.
Line ideology that's generally been pretty critical of Jewish communities. And I'm wondering, as a Jewish woman, how do you feel about sort of aligning yourself with those people and accounts? You know, you see this sort of rhetoric in your replies, and I only bring it up, I'm not saying that you necessarily endorse that rhetoric, I would imagine that you don't, but how do you kind of think about those nuances when you're thinking about kind of the audience that you're building?
Some of your audience says we should chop off kids' body parts. What do you think about that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
Like a girl says she wants to be a boy, so she chops off her breasts.
I'm a big, I believe in personal liberty and bodily autonomy personally.
So kids should be able to cut off their breasts if they think that they're boys.
No. I mean, I believe in gender ideology. I guess I personally, my feeling is that I believe in personal liberty. I grew up in a town where a lot of people, for their middle school graduation, women got nose jobs. I knew somebody that got a boob job at age 14. And I guess I struggle to kind of understand the criticism when there's certainly no criticism of that sort of thing, right? But then there's criticism of this other sort of gender affirming, stuff. So
So you're comparing a boy being allowed to chop off his penis to a teenage girl getting a nose job?
I love how it's worded like chopping off body parts. Like, if they actually did any research into like bottom surgery for like male to female bottom surgery, like, there's no chopping off. There's redistributing and reutilizing. There's no like chopping off of a dick. Like, it's so weird, like how she words it like that. It's like, and then just like doesn't even let the journalist like respond. Really, just like, well, no, like, not really paying any attention. This is what's so fascinating right now, Mark. Mark says Chaya is a swirling pit of internet conspiracy theories that tilt alt-right neo-Nazi. Yeah, so she's that archetype embodied. But seeing Chaya outside of the internet and in real person, without her like little minions, without her flying monkeys, without like the echo chamber, she looks like a fucking lunatic. Does she not? This is the internet in real person. This is alt-right internet personality in real person. And it's fucking insane that like somebody, like, this is her personality. I know we've had tons of conversations in Neogenianism about how there's technically no such thing as an NPC, but she is an NPC. There it is. There it is.
Well, just to be extra clear, I don't believe that 13-year-olds are able to make those sort of medical decisions.
Minors are, yeah.
Oh, really? And where?
Yeah. Children's National Hospital in D.C. gives 16-year-olds hysterectomies.
Oh, 16-year-olds.
They gave me that. They told me that directly. They said 16 girls and younger. That's what they said. So hysterectomies. There are definitely minors. I know for sure as young as 12 who are getting.
Are you sure those hysterectomies aren't for like certain medical issues? Like, we're not getting the full picture here, lady.
Double mastectomies. They definitely allow vaginoplasties for minors and phalloplasties. I'm not aware of a specific case of a minor, but they allow 18-year-olds,
Yeah, which, okay, 18-year-olds, you're an adult. But let's just get back to the great replacement stuff, because I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that whole ideology?
18 is an adult. Anyways.
I mean, how many... There were times that... there were some months over the past 3 years that there were more illegals coming into our border than children being born in the U.S. Does that not look like they're trying to replace us?
I guess sort of imagine America as a melting pot. Isn't that sort of what America was founded on?
No, but they're actually...
Yes! Thank you! Why do these motherfuckers ever fucking, like, not remember that America is a fucking melting pot? That was its original purpose, okay? When Europeans came here, Europeans saw other Europeans as fucking, like, different fucking races, okay? Italians hated the fucking Irish, like, English hated the fucking Scottish, like, just fucking, it's never ending, like... It's so weird how we're, like, still carrying it on now, as if, like, suddenly we're band together as, like, white people. I had a good conversation with Lee exactly about, like, what the fuck white is. White is not a culture. There's no white fucking culture. Yeah, there's white skin, and there's, like, different, like, nationalities and fucking, like, ancestries, but what the fuck is white? So, like, what the fuck are we, like, worried about being, like, Anglo-Saxon? Yeah. Big deal. We're not a culture. It's not a culture. As Susan says, I just checked, and that claim about under 18 getting surgery has been shown to be false. Yes, it has. Exactly. I know. It's just, it's not true. But they don't care about doing that research. People like her don't want to do that research. They don't want to think that way because that doesn't serve their agenda. That doesn't serve their narrative. Like, they just want to go, oh, no, children are... And the very verbiage that she uses, oh, they're being chopped up. They're chopped up. Just painting that specific image of just, like, innocent children being chopped up. Like, that's not even, realistic. But it's like, I feel like... And what pisses me off is I feel like, to a degree, she knows what she's doing. And that's where I get mad. It's like... But then it's like, I don't know, people really can be that stupid.
Actually bringing in more people than are actually being born.
So I guess it sounds like you sort of do ascribe to this theory of the Great Replacement. How does that make
I just
you
look at the
feel?
facts and the numbers.
Well, so, I mean, let's give a corollary, right? A lot of Jewish people fled, Europe, came over here also as immigrants. And there's a lot of criticism towards Jewish people in those movements, in those far-right movements. So I'm just wondering, as a Jewish woman, sort of how you feel about that and your role in cultivating this fan base that might think of you as a minority or an outsider.
Not all cultures are equal. Yeah.
Well, in today's reality, she's not wrong with that statement. They're not being treated equally, that's for fucking certain.
I know you have a lot of concerns about educational materials and books, library books and things, especially...
They're importing people who want to destroy America and who come here and do not stand for what America stands for. So, and I think, and we see it, there's time after time after time after time. They come in, they're destroying our cities, they bring crime with them, and they are bringing them in to replace us. And I think people from various countries,
Who's bringing them in to replace you? Who are these people? If white old rich men are the people in charge, why are they bringing in these people to replace them? What is happening? I'm having an aneurysm.
They're all different.
So, just back to the sort of education stuff, I know that you're interested in removing a bunch of books from libraries that you consider inappropriate. I was just wondering, out of all the books that you've sort of tried to get removed, how many have you read?
I read a couple of them.
Uh-huh.
Can you read, my child? Do you read? Can you read? Have you read ever anything at all?
Which ones?
Genderqueer.
Uh-huh.
I've read This Book is Gay.
Uh-huh.
I've read Flamer. I've read, what were some of the other ones?
I don't think she's actually read these books. I think she's just listing, like, books she knows she wants to ban, like, off the top of her head. That bitch ain't reading those books. She's not reading those books cover to cover. Come on now.
My Shadow is Pink. It Feels Good to Be Yourself. Mm-hmm. There's so many more. Tons of them.
How do you kind of square, would you say, I feel like you are, or at least I feel like you've spoken about free speech before and the need for free speech and sort of supported Elon Musk's sentiments in that area. Would you say that you're a free speech supporter?
Yeah.
So how do you square the sort of being this free speech supporter with wanting to ban literature?
What kind of literature?
Any kind of literature. I mean, I would think that
What kind of literature am I trying to ban?
Oh, I thought you were just trying to say you were...
No, that's... God, she's so painfully defensive. Like, she just, it's like, it's so internet-like, right? It's so, like, it's like she's speaking out loud. Like, at least I, to a very large degree, when I type, like, I sound different when I type, I feel like, than when I actually talk in person. Like there's more to something to what I have to say when I talk with tone and pause and things like that, and inflection, you know, like, but when I write black and white, you know, it seems different. She sounds exactly like these people sound like online. Like there's no more to add to it. It's so weird. It's like they're talking back and forth in real, like, as real people, but it's almost like you're actually reading them, or like you're listening to them narrate like a conversation online. Like, that's what it feels like. Like, what do you mean? What books am I banning? It's like, oh my fuck. Focus.
Before, and the need for free speech, and sort of supported Elon Musk's sentiments in that area. Would you say that you're a free speech supporter?
Yeah.
So how do you square the sort of being this free speech supporter with wanting to ban literature?
What kind of literature?
Any kind of literature. I mean, I would think that
what kind of literature am I trying to ban?
Oh, I thought you were just trying to say you've made an effort to get books removed from schools.
What kind of books?
Books dealing with LGBTQ people and sexual education.
No, that's not what I said.
Oh, so you're not trying to get any books banned from school?
That's not what I said either.
Okay, why don't you explain to me how you're thinking about this?
You just accused me of wanting to ban books. What kind of books am I trying to ban?
You tell me.
I'm not trying to ban anything.
Wait.
This is so torturous. This is hell. Hell would be like having to watch this on repeat over and over with your eyelids like tape open. Like I would just woo. I gotta back that up a little bit, because like the first time I heard it, I'm like, she went back and forth like 10 times in like 10 seconds. I'm not trying to ban any books. Okay, well, okay, so you're not trying to ban any books. Well, I didn't say that either. Okay, so you are trying to ban books? No, I'm not trying to ban any books. Okay, so what books are you trying to ban? I'm not trying to ban any books. I didn't say I wasn't. I didn't say I was. Like, I just, like...
You're not trying to ban any books.
Who said I'm trying to ban books?
Are you trying to remove books from libraries?
From public school libraries.
Okay. So how do you square your sort of notion of free speech and free expression and allowing all of that stuff with wanting literature removed and wanting access to information removed?
What kind of literature?
You tell me.
Porn. Gay porn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And what do you consider gay porn in these books?
So you want to see it?
Are you talking about the stuff that you've tweeted, basically? You consider
yeah,
it
like there's pictures of like blowjobs and like how to have gay sex with like naked people and people masturbating and stuff. Yeah.
Did you?
Like pictures of it.
Oh,
yeah.
totally. And yeah. I went to public school. And we had a sex ed class in public school where we were shown, information about sexual health and, sex and masturbation and things like that. I'm curious about your own education. I mean, was that something did you ever go to a sex ed class, or is this all sort of new to you where you're sort of learning about how this works in public schools?
I don't live under a rock.
So you did.
That's not what she asked. Did you have a general sex education like class? Like, did you? And she's like, well, I didn't live under, like, it's so oddly defensive. I think I might just be starting to read her now. I don't know. I think the chat is too. Chat's saying like some mentions of like masturbation and stuff. I'm sensing some sexual guilt in here. Some embarrassment and shame about your own sexuality, perhaps. There's rumor that she actually is trans. And some people like saying there's actually like proof and stuff that she is trans. But I'm not seeing like interesting rumors, I say. Rumors. Allegedly. Chaya is trans. Anyways, back to the ridiculousness.
Have sex ed classes when you were growing up?
We had some kind of education, yeah.
So you do think it's important for children to have education, sex education?
Not the way they're doing it in the public schools.
How are they doing it?
They're giving kids porn and telling third graders that they should masturbate. They're giving middle school children guides to gay sex and anal sex, sex toys.
How would you describe the type of sex education that you would like to see in schools?
At this point, I want all sex education actually removed from schools because I don't trust the schools to do it.
Okay.
After what we've seen, I don't trust them at all. Zero. We need to completely eradicate it and then redo it in a normal way that's appropriate.
So I saw you that you got banned from Stripe today. How much money did you have tied up in that platform?
I'm not going to get into that. They already restored me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're back.
Yeah.
I noticed, I think it was around last summer, you deleted a lot of your tweets and you kind of stopped posting. This is when Seth Dillon kind of tweeted, asking if you fell off or, saying that you weren't posting as you used to. What happened during that time, and did you think about quitting?
I have no idea, and no, I never thought about quitting.
Why'd you delete all your old posts?
It was just a one-time editorial decision. I stand by all my posts.
I guess speaking of deleting posts, you still have a post up accusing the Uvalde shooter of being trans. Obviously, that's been debunked.
Yeah, there's a community note on it.
So why not remove that post if you're so comfortable with removing posts?
Because there's a community note. I think it's clear. It's obviously it was unintentional. There was a watermark on it. It was from a meme, an account that was going around. And I'm glad there's a community note so people know that that was a mistake.
Do you believe if, say, a journalist posts something factually incorrect or wrong, especially about someone else, if somebody was to say something factually wrong about you, do you believe they should remove that, or do you think they should be able to keep that content up?
Twitter is free speech. People lie about me all the time on there.
Yo, she is completely unable to put herself reverse situations and put herself in other people's shoes. She has no capacity for empathy or seeing things from somebody else's vision. Just no. It's almost like her brain can't do that. Is that sociopathy? Inability to be empathetic. Psychopathy. But isn't sociopathy a part of that? Okay, sociopathy or damage to the ability to function in a social setting often includes a lack of empathy, also including various forms of antisocial behavior. Psychopathy, just a general term for illness of the mind that can result in a lack of empathy. I'm sorry, but she's totally antisocial. Obviously I'm not a freaking psychiatrist, that's not I can't officially diagnose, but she's just so unable to be empathetic or think about how other people would feel, because when the journalist, when she takes the interviewer, when she takes her own logic and switches it around so that, she puts her in the shoes of the other side, suddenly it just doesn't compute, right? It suddenly just doesn't compute. She almost just does it. You could see her short circulate. I know it's short circuit. She's short circuiting. When the interviewer turns it back around.
There was a watermark on it. It was from a meme, an account that was going around. And I'm glad there's a community note so people know that that was a mistake.
Do you believe if, say, a journalist posts something factually incorrect or wrong, especially about someone else, if somebody was to say something factually wrong about you, do you believe they should remove that, or do you think they should be able to keep that content up?
Short circuiting right there.
Twitter is free speech. People lie about me all the time on there, and they don't get taken down. If you want, it has to go both ways.
So you believe that people should be allowed to keep up wrong information about you and have no recourse, be able to keep that up?
Free speech is free speech. Okay.
So I'm kind of curious how you square that with the letter that you sent this morning to V Sphere, claiming that, you were going to try to sue her for slander. If free speech is free speech, then why are you threatening your critics with lawsuits?
Well, defamation is different.
So would you call misidentifying a shooter's sexuality defamation?
No, I wouldn't. Like I said, there's already a community note on it. So I'm glad that people now.
And you admit that it's wrong, right? Was the Uvalde shooter
and
trans?
I wasn't the creator of that image.
Sure, but you can imagine if somebody amplified wrong information.
The media, like Washington Post and other places, they lie all the time. They're never held accountable. They never remove it. They lie and lie and lie. So I am not gonna. If you want to hold me to that level, then I get to hold you to that level as well, and all the other media. So I just don't think, it's not accurate to compare it, because.
Was the Uvalde shooter trans?
The Uvalde shooter wasn't trans.
Got it. And so I guess knowing that you've posted wrong information, you're saying it should stay up and everybody else should be allowed to keep whatever they have up as well. Is that sort of your stance? Am I accurately understanding it?
Is there a law against...
No, I'm not asking law. I'm just
lying?
asking your personal sort of opinion. I'm just kind of curious because it seems like you have come after other people, such as V-Sphere and other critics, saying, you posted wrong information about me, take it down. I totally get that. That's your prerogative.
It's different with defaming a journalist like that. They're defaming me.
And you don't think that calling a shooter trans when they weren't trans is defaming anyone?
No.
Okay, interesting.
Interesting.
I guess I'm
they're knowingly lying about me.
And what would you say that you did when you sort of posted that about the shooter being trans?
Like I said, an image that was going around for months that I shared from another thing accidentally, and I'm glad there's a community note on it.
I know you come from a more traditional family and sort of a more traditional culture. What is your family and...
By the way, this interviewer is doing such a good job, shouldering a lot of this. She's really good at, exactly, Mark, when she does, the non sequitur. She's really good at just, carrying on and just, moving on to something else to just keep the conversation going. Yeah, she did knowingly lie about the shooter. She knew what the fuck she was doing. She does it on purpose. That's her whole shtick.
Think of your success. You've made a huge career for yourself. You're obviously a rising star in conservative media. How's that affected your interpersonal relationships?
I'm not going to get personal. I'm going to get into my personal relationships.
Yeah. How's it affected your life? I mean, just dealing with this sort of fame relatively overnight.
So, thanks in partly to you, there's been a lot of death threats, a lot of really nasty messages.
But you seem kind of proud about the press that you've received. Your profile picture is holding up a newspaper with you in the headline.
Yeah, a newspaper where they just basically lied about me. I thought it's funny that they just continue to make up these lies and libels.
You've gotten a big, even if you discount the mainstream media and just talk about the conservative media, I think your platform has risen pretty significantly. What changes has it had on you? I cover the content creator industry, and I've seen a lot of people go from sort of a very low-key life, which I would imagine you're living before, to a massive amount of attention and, money and powerful people around you. How has that affected you?
Like I said, some safety issues. in part thanks to you and to some other members of the media. But I'm not going to get into my personal life.
Oh, no, not about your personal life. I'm just wondering about your career aspirations. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
We'll see. You can make all the plans you want, and God could decide something else. So
you don't have any sort of 5-year plan, 10-year plan?
I mean, I have plans, but nothing I'm going to share.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, you know, if Trump was reelected, would you be interested in a job with his administration?
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Who are you supporting in the election?
There's one candidate, Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Will you be campaigning on his behalf?
We'll see.
Would you prefer, are you hoping to kind of, I guess, like, would you see yourself in D.C.?
I haven't made any plans yet.
Mm-hmm. How did you get connected with Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma, and how many times have you been to that state?
I was there once. They have, unfortunately, a lot of wokeness in their red state, and I'm trying to help.
Not the wokeness.
How'd you originally how'd Oklahoma get on your radar as opposed to some others?
Because I started posting about the stuff going on in schools there, like I do across the country. And then, people were very upset that this was happening in their schools.
So, and you've been once. What do you think qualifies you to be on the board or, have to do with education, the education system there? Being that I don't believe you have children in the Oklahoma schools, you don't live in Oklahoma, you've only been once. How does that qualify you to sort of serve in that capacity?
What are the qualifications that they require to be on this committee?
USA Today reported on that, but I believe it was that you had to, oh God, I might get it wrong, but I think you have to be some sort of educator. You have to have worked as an educator.
Okay, I was a teacher once.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay. So you feel like that qualifies you to sort of inform policies in Oklahoma?
I wasn't aware of any kind of qualifications that they require.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe they require any qualifications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking more even just informal.
Great. Yeah, so she doesn't live in Oklahoma. I know, it's so confusing. I don't know what this fucking bitch is about, but so she has no qualifications for the position. She doesn't even have enough for her to make a definitive answer to that. Just still extremely defensive. Also, her mouth movements. This whole, tongue-in-cheek thing, yeah, I just don't even, it's you know what? Are you freaking, I don't know, did you smoke a bowl of crack or something? Because it's so fidgety, the whole tongue-in-cheek thing. It's I could say so many mean things right now. I'm not going to with that shape in her mouth right now. Anyways.
But that makes sense. I guess, speaking of Oklahoma, obviously we saw the tragic death of Nex, a young child. Tragic. I'm curious about your reaction. You posted a selfie shortly after people were asking you to address the issue, and you said, to the haters and the losers. Who are you addressing in that statement?
Anyone who hates me and anyone who's a loser.
Okay. Why would you choose to post that in response to people asking you to speak about this child's death?
It was not a response to that.
I guess, why would you post that prior to making any statement about Nex's death?
So, just to be clear, you're trying to police me on when I'm allowed to post selfies?
No, just curious.
No.
I wanted to post it. I thought it was a cute picture, and I just decided to post it.
How do you feel about Nex's death?
It's very tragic.
Uh-huh.
It's horrible.
Do you believe Nex should have been allowed to receive gender-affirming care?
She should not be allowed to go on irreversible puberty blockers or get sex change surgery.
How do you think about the fact that, so often your posts, things that you post about hospitals, libraries, schools, etc., after you make these posts about them, they deal with threats, sometimes bomb threats, sometimes harassment?
We don't know who's calling in the threats. Look, bomb threats are bad. I've said that 1,000 times. People calling bomb threats should be arrested and investigated. You can't call in bomb threats. But I just don't know what does it have to do with.
Well, I guess, a recent NBC investigation found at least 33 instances where you posted about a specific person or institution, and that person or institution was immediately bombarded with death threats and violent threats, including bomb threats, other violent threats. That's a pretty significant correlation. How do you what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but I got like tons of death threats.
I got tons of
this
death
week
threats.
after the entire media machine came after me. So are they responsible for those?
I don't think that there's the same correlation. Are you receiving bomb threats?
I'm receiving death threats, like, hi, I'm gonna come murder you.
Yeah, and I definitely sympathize with you there, 'cause I get those
literally,
every day.
the article goes live and then I get those threats.
I get the same thing when a Fox News article goes live.
So is the journalist responsible, the journalist who posted the article?
I would say, there's a different responsibility when we're talking about media. And I guess to me, a death threat is different than a violent bomb threat. A death threat, I think we're kind of getting normalized to them, unfortunately, online. We get a lot of them. Probably you and I get them constantly, 24/7. I'm wondering kind of how you think about taking these obscure people, right? Because you and I are both public figures, and I imagine you and I we have a high tolerance, right, for what we can handle online. Say you're taking a private citizen, a gay teacher, for instance, in a small town, and you post about that person, and then that person subsequently, who had no media presence prior, receives pretty violent threats. How does that make you feel?
We need to answer the question first, though. Is the journalist responsible for actions that have to happen after?
So you consider sort of your posts about private citizens, incendiary posts, you consider that journalism?
I'm an independent journalist.
And do you think that there's a difference between doing journalism on a completely private figure that has no public presence and no institutional power versus reporting on a powerful public institution or person?
You still didn't answer the question. Is the journalist responsible for reporting for any actions that happen after the reporting?
Personally, I think that journalists should take care and should consider sort of the framing, and I think that they should do their best not to appear as if they encourage that sort of behavior. I've noticed that you haven't necessarily publicly condemned that behavior, publicly told your supporters, listen guys, stop calling in these bomb threats.
Who said it's my followers? Do you have information that it's my followers?
I guess who else's followers would it be?
I don't know.
So
there's 300 million people in this country.
So you post bomb threats follow, and you're saying it might be just unrelated people?
I have no idea. We don't know who it is.
Have you taken steps to find out?
You don't know who it is. You don't know anything. But hey, when it happens to you, then fuck everybody else.
We filed some FOIAs with police departments.
Yeah. What have you found?
We haven't got to anything useful yet that we can use. But actually, one of them, we know it's like some foreign actor, not even from the country. So who knows who it is?
Yeah. It seems like Twitter is your main platform these days, although I know you've been posting on Rumble. How much money have you made from the platform?
It's personal.
Is that what sort of portion of your revenue is based on Twitter as opposed to other platforms?
That's personal. So speaking of Twitter, do you regret not getting a blue check? Because then you can make tons of money.
No, I don't monetize online.
I don't monetize?
Yeah, I don't. If I was an independent journalist, maybe, but I'm not. I don't monetize on any of my social platforms. I noticed you sort of, speaking of the media, you've changed your approach recently, or at least it seems like you're being a little bit more antagonistic towards the media and a little bit more forceful in the way that you speak about the media. What led to that change?
Being lied about and defamed for 2.5 years.
I guess what led to, I would assume you felt like that for quite a while. What led you to sort of change the way that you speak about the media, or the sort of...
Well, their attacks were ramping up. So, like I said, the lies and the defamation, the hypocrisy.
If you eradicate transgenderism, which I believe you suggested in a post today...
No, I never suggested that.
Oh, okay. You reposted a post that was advocating for that. What would happen to the people that have already medically, socially, completely transitioned and are leading happy lives? What would happen to them? I mean, what's your plan for that? If transgenderism doesn't exist, which it seems like that's what you believe, What happens to all the people living happy lives as trans people?
Well, first of all, the whole trans it's based on a lie. You can't change your gender.
Okay, but
so they could go live their life. I mean,
but they have.
I can't tell someone what to do in their house.
Sounds like you do want to tell people what to do in their house.
I never said that.
So you're totally okay with people being trans, just not as long as they're in public?
No, I never said that. They could. The whole thing is based off of a lie, and I think that this lie cannot be mainstream in our society. It's a lie.
And what harm is it causing, do you believe?
I like the truth. I like truth.
Right, but I'm saying what's the harm of people expressing their gender identity differently than you believe it to be? What harm are they causing?
Like I said, we are a nation of truth, and I seek the truth.
But that's.
She doesn't know. She doesn't even know. I don't even think she's even thought about this. I don't think she does think.
But I'm asking about the harm. What's the harm? You might believe it to be false, but what's the harm?
The harm is that there's a lie that is very mainstream and is being embedded into every institution.
I guess I'm wondering what the material harm is. Aside from it's maybe something that you disagree with, as in your version of the truth is different than their version of the truth, what is the material harm of them living their life as a woman or man or a gender that you don't agree with?
Not anything that's wrong is there a material harm necessarily.
So there's no harm?
I didn't say that.
So can you name a single harm?
The way that it's pushed onto kids, first of all.
What's pushed onto kids?
Gender ideology, transgenderism.
But if they're leading happy lives and they just are leading a different...
Well, there are studies that show that they're more suicidal after transition.
No, that's not true.
No, that's not true at all. No, those studies prove the opposite. It proves that a significant percentage of these people, like, their depression and their anxiety significantly improve, and their ideologies in ending themselves, it goes down.
There's a study out of Sweden.
That is not true. That is not true.
Yeah, you can look up the study.
Well, taking into account all of the happy people that have transitioned, who are not harming anyone, you can't come up with a single material harm?
So if someone says, I'll be happier if I'm blind, should a doctor pull their eyes out?
Apples and oranges has nothing to do with anything.
I think that's quite different than gender ideology, but people do,
that's stupid.
I guess someone says I'm happier if I chop my dick off, and we should just let them do that.
See, back to the chopping off of parts. That's not how that works.
I think, there's a lot of gender affirming care that women do, right? I mean, women ascribe to certain gender things. You see women getting boob jobs to affirm their gender. I mean, we're in Los Angeles. We see this kind of gender affirming.
So again, you're comparing boob jobs and nose jobs to
they're gender affirming.
Being buying into the lie that they could change their sex.
Breast enhancement.
No, boob jobs and nose jobs are the same thing as getting like top surgeries and bottom surgeries. You're altering your avatar, and it really just like, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? We all can't be more comfy in our avatars? Like, what's wrong with that?
Enhancements are gender affirming for women. There's a lot of women that feel small chested. They feel like it would be gender affirming for them to have plastic surgery, and they're allowed to do it. And I noticed that you don't critique that. I guess I'm curious, Chaya, there are a lot of people that have ideas about women, right? And about what makes a woman, right? What makes a appropriate woman? How should a woman? You're saying you're against people sort of like living lies or living outside this ideology that you've constructed. Some might say, look, we're both women over the age of 25, working. I certainly don't have kids. They might consider that not okay for a woman. Do you think it's up to that? Do you think it's okay for them to dictate how you live your life as a woman? Do you think it's up or sort of where does that line get drawn?
So again, you're comparing boob jobs to a teenage girl chopping off her breasts?
Yeah. Whether you're making the breasts bigger or removing them, it's the same fucking thing. It's the same shit. You are augmenting your chest. There's different types of augmentations to the chest that are surgical. Hello.
Well, first of all, teenage girls get boob jobs, but breast enhancements are gender affirming for many women. I'm asking you, why is it that people have to live on...
She just said she had a friend who got a boob job at 14. That's acceptable. But double mastectomy isn't. We've got some double standards going on here.
Under your sort of view of gender. And
it's not my view, it's science. It's facts, it's biology.
But biology, if we're talking biology, there's a spectrum of gender. There's people that are intersex.
That is a rare medical condition that has nothing to do with someone deciding that they could be the opposite gender.
I guess I'm still kind of struggling to understand how you think, if your view, say tomorrow Trump is elected, he says, all right, we're going to all live by Chaya's, decisions, right? What about all these happy trans people that are living their lives, that are not harming anyone? What harm are they doing by living their life as a woman who've medically transitioned? They're adults. I understand you have problems with kids, but with adult trans people, what's the harm that they're doing to society?
To society, they're spreading a lie that is affecting children also.
So you just believe gender is a lie. And what if somebody said to
you can't change your gender.
And what if somebody said to you, you're not a real woman? You're not a real woman because maybe you don't meet these certain specific definitions of femininity.
That's fine. I don't care. They can call me whatever you want.
But what if you would be forced to live by that system? Do you think it's fair that you would, be forced?
Is that based in science?
Well, I don't think any of it's really based in science.
Well, it is.
Gender is a social construct.
Well, gender is actually made up.
Exactly. Yes, we agree on this. We agree.
By a child predator, by a pedophile.
We don't agree.
Yeah.
We don't agree on
so he made up gender, and now they conflate the two, and they use it to basically trans kids. So there are actually two sexes, and there are zero.
What? Gender was made up by a predator? Where? What?
Zero genders, and there are.
So wouldn't you reject that anyways? That doesn't even work for her argument. That doesn't even work for herself.
Many personalities. That's what I believe.
Okay. A lot of LGBTQ people say that your posts cause an enormous amount of pain. How does that make you feel?
How does it make you feel that your reporting on me causes me pain?
Oh my fuck. You fucking dunce cap. You absolute dunce cap. Dunce cap. Do we have a dunce cap emoji? Because we should. Maybe that should be our new emoji. A fucking dunce cap.
Well, sad for that, honestly. Yeah.
So would you stop?
No, I'm a journalist and you're a public figure. But I'm just talking about, these non-public figures, right? These non-public figures that are...
Well, if you put yourself out there on a public platform, then you're kind of making yourself
anybody
public.
That posts on...
So you're asking for it. Yeah.
Social media is a public figure, in your mind?
If you're putting your videos out there with the intention that it should go viral, you want publicity.
So if somebody's posting on social media, which inherently posting on social media, you're looking for attention, right? You're saying that meets the bar for a public figure?
I'm not a lawyer.
But I'm asking your opinion.
I think that these people, well, first of all, a lot of the people I post about are actually in positions. that are public.
But
teachers,
I'm talking about the people that
doctors.
haven't, right? The individual private citizens that you've posted who are not, I would argue they're not public figures. You're saying they are public figures because they're posting on social media?
They want to be public. They're going on a public platform and publicly posting a video on a social media site that is meant for your videos to go viral.
Uh-huh. And what about Twitter? Would you consider Twitter as well a platform where stuff is meant to go viral?
Every social media. If someone posts something on social media, it could go viral. It's always a risk.
Got it. So when you were building your audience and had hundreds of thousands of followers, then would you also agree that you were a public figure?
I think that if anyone who puts something out there publicly, anyone could share their stuff.
Got it. And so, but I'm saying you consider these people, LGBTQ people, who are just posting on social media, public figures.
I said I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the legal definition of public figure.
One thing you noted, and I'm only asking this because I know that you've noted that, when I reported on you, that you felt like it was unfair and that you didn't meet the bar for a public figure. So I'm just kind of wondering, as somebody with such a large social media audience, you're saying people with much smaller social media audiences meet the bar for a public figure. Wouldn't you have considered yourself a public figure?
If anyone puts out content publicly, then that content could go anywhere. That's what I believe. It could go viral. Anyone could share it. It could go to the wrong side. What they call the wrong side of TikTok.
Yeah.
It could go. People will see it. You can't control that. Mm-hmm. That's why they hate me, because they want to create this content and they only want their bubble to see it. And then I'm like showing it to other people and they just can't handle it.
That's what you do.
You're editorializing it as well.
No, I provide very little commentary, probably the least from any other Twitter account that's even a quarter my size.
Let's talk about drag shows. You've come out a lot about, you're very against drag shows. Can you give any examples of children being harmed from drag shows?
Yeah, there was one where this mom was saying that her kid decided to be non-binary after watching the drag show, and then the drag queen helped.
Decided. It's just... Oh no, this drag show helped this child realize they were non-binary. The horror. The horror. The pain.
The kid buy new clothes to be non-binary.
And you consider that harmful?
Yeah, well, because non-binary is made up. There's no such thing as non-binary. And then it just leads a kid on a path.
You heard it, folks. There's no non-binary. I'm not even here. You don't even see me. You don't even hear me. I'm just a figment of your imagination.
Where probably they'll end up in a hospital getting some of their body parts chopped off.
You seem very against plastic surgery. Are you against...
Well, I'm against sex change surgeries.
Uh-huh. What about women that want to get their boobs done, want to get their nose done, want to get cheek implants?
We're just going to go in circles.
Well, I'm just curious.
But it's good to note that you're comparing nose jobs to teen girls getting their breasts chopped off.
Well, teen girls also get boob jobs to make their breasts bigger, right? So both are gender affirming in different ways. You seem very obsessed with one and not interested in the other. So that's kind of what I'm interested in. And I guess I don't really understand that, because both are gender affirming in different ways.
I don't call it gender affirming care. I call it sex change surgeries for people who are sold a lie that they can change their sex.
Uh-huh. Where do you sort of hope this will end up? All of this sort of the advocacy that you're doing. I know you said you don't have a 5-year plan for yourself, but what if you were sort of going to describe your platform? What are some things that you'd like to see, meaningful changes in terms of policies, laws?
Oh, I want to eradicate gender ideology from public life.
And there we have it, folks. There we have it. She doesn't mean any harm. She's not trying to hurt anybody. She's not hurting anybody. She's not doing anything. She's just reporting things, but she wants to eradicate it. Well, how do you eradicate it? First, you dehumanize it. You normalize dehumanizing it. Then, you normalize violence against those people. And after that, you normalize the genocide of those people. You see how that goes? And no, it's not a slippery slope. It's not a slippery slope because it's happened time and time again in history. It is a proven thing.
From public life completely?
Yeah, the whole thing is built on a lie.
Well, you certainly have a gender yourself.
Gender ideology? No, I don't. I have a sex. Gender. There's no such thing as gender.
Okay.
I said gender is made up. There's no such thing.
I agree that gender is a completely social construct.
No, it doesn't exist. It's okay. There are 0 genders. I have a sex. I'm female.
There are 0 genders.
Yeah.
So you want to live in sort of a post-gender world where everybody can kind of express themselves through personality however they like.
Well, that's what it is now. But they're just calling it gender.
So,
but there's males and females. And then,
so if
there's
they were to,
infinite.
I'm just kind of curious here, and I'm certainly not a gender scholar, so I'm not sure, maybe somebody sort of posed this question too, but if people were to let's just say, you know what, fine, we eliminate male, female, non-binary, whatever gender, we eliminate that. We're all just people, or we identify by our sex. Would you still be okay with people, wearing dresses if, they appear to be biologically male, or, women shaving their head, things like that? Are you still okay with that as long as they're not calling themselves by a different name?
Don't sexualize kids. That's what I'm against.
But I'm just saying, like, you want to live in a post-gender world where there's no gender, right? And anybody can just have the personality and express themselves however they want.
That's how it is now. These people who are calling themselves a different gender,
but I'm just saying, you're
not
right,
really.
And your issue is with the language around that, right? So I'm saying, let's eliminate the language. All right, do you support people, adults? Let's just talk about adults for the sake of this discussion. Do you support those adults having bodily autonomy, dressing, acting, painting their nails or shaving their head or doing whatever they want to do to express themselves?
I don't care if a guy wants to paint his nails.
So you don't care about...
Leave the kids out of it. Don't sexualize the kids. Don't confuse the kids.
So speaking of sexualization of kids, I think one group of young...
But people don't just start doing that in their adulthood. Like, people just don't decide to do that in their adulthood. Like, people start doing that as children. It's like when little boys start wearing mommy's high heels and stuff like that, or this, that, and the other stuff. Like, kids do that. Like, it's not like as if, like, it's a psychological happening that only happens, like, after you're 18, It's so weird. Like, her it's almost like she's saying there's no gender to try to utilize that and twist that to her favor, but she hasn't quite thought it through. So, yeah, and how is nail polish sexualizing? That's weird. Anyways.
People that's constantly sexualized is young women. What are your thoughts, and why?
I don't even know.
Haven't you, I guess, come out more against some of the sort of sexualization of young women, especially in the right-wing media ecosystem? There's a focus on youth in women. There's a focus on sort of women under 25, women losing value with age. This is stuff, that's been...
I'm a woman in the conservative movement. I never once felt sexualized.
You've never felt sexualized yourself, but I'm saying, why don't you speak out about sort of sexual abuse in the straight world, I guess?
So you just changed topics.
No. I'm saying, like, you're saying we're against the sexualization of kids.
Yeah.
One group of children that's constantly sexualized is young women. 13-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls are constantly sexualized on the internet, often by conservatives. So I'm wondering, especially given, what some commentary has come from like people at the Daily Wire, for instance, right? They've made comments about young women losing value with age, which is kind of a pedophilic ideology. Why not speak out on that?
I've never seen that. I have no evidence.
You've never seen young women getting sexualized?
I focus on kids.
And you've never seen young girls getting sexualized?
I've seen young girls getting sexualized. I'm referring to the Daily Wire thing. I can't answer
for that.
Okay,
but let's just talk about young girls. Why don't you speak out about that? Why don't you speak out about sort of heteronormative cisgender men, traditional men, sexualizing young girls, young female girls?
I speak out about the sexualization of kids.
But you don't speak out about sort of the sexualization of kids by straight people.
I don't discriminate on who's sexualizing the kids. But if the kid's being sexualized.
Well, but there's only one group of kids that you're talking about, which is you're concerned about sort of people being sexualized by the LGBTQ community. I'm saying a lot of straight older men.
Not necessarily the LGBTQ. I mean, if they're, I don't want straight teachers to be talking about their sexuality in schools either.
So you wouldn't be okay with a straight teacher, for instance, discussing their marriage?
I think it's weird. Why would someone discuss their marriage in the classroom?
Honestly, I don't know. You were a teacher. I feel like teachers sometimes do that. I do think that there is a sexualization of children from straight couples. I mean, I know that I went shopping for a friend recently to find little baby onesies, and when you're looking for little boy baby onesies, a lot of them say, where's my mommy's tits or whatever. You see these kind of, I would say, sexual innuendo on babies' clothes. I've never seen you post about that. I've never seen you post about sort of sexualization from the straight community, I guess.
I don't discriminate against who's doing the sexualization. I also, I guess, like, what are you defining as sexualization? But I've never said, like, oh, look, here's porn in school, and the librarian is not straight. No, I don't care who the librarian is. I don't care if they're straight or gay or trans or whatever they want to say they are.
Yeah.
Man, she is so owned in this.
I just think it seems, I guess I wonder why you don't focus on sort of like young girls as a woman. I mean, were you ever sexualized as a young child?
No.
I find that interesting because I think all women kind of experience that, although it depends on your community. But I do think that there's a focus on women and age as well. And there's this notion that women lose value as they age. And I know I hear that all the time in my comments from conservatives.
I've never once seen that.
You've never seen that?
No.
I feel like
I've never seen a conservative figure say that women lose value when they age.
Why do you think there's such an obsession about women?
Do you watch anything? Do you have eyes? Do you have ears? Are you here, lady? Hello?
Ages then?
Women, I've never known there was an obsession. I don't
Really?
know. Yeah.
Huh.
Women and ages?
Yeah. There is a notion, especially platformed by conservative media, that women lose value as they get older. You see this espoused constantly when people are talking about reproductive capabilities. Oh, her eggs
You're
are
saying
dried
when
up.
they promote like family values, like, oh, you should get married and have kids? Is that what you call sexualization?
No. I'm talking about more derogatory remarks made against women and their age. I bring it up because I think a lot of your fans seem to obsess about women and ages, and so it's misogyny at its core, and I never see you speak up about that. So I was just kind of curious about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm wondering like why you don't speak up about the sexualization of kids.
I don't think it's a problem. I guess I don't see as much. If I saw an example of a child being sexualized, of course I have a problem with, certain things. I will actually, I will say.
So do you think we should give kids porn in school? The images of like gay sex?
I went to public school, and in public school, at least when I was growing up, we were absolutely given literature, explaining sex, educating people.
It had pictures of like anal sex?
Oh, absolutely. And it actually talked about condom use.
What grade?
God, I mean, I don't remember, but certainly probably middle school. I think that's when we had sex ed.
So you think like books like Genderqueer, This Book is Gay, we should give that to kids in school?
I have not read those books, so I don't know. But I do think that it's important to educate kids about sexuality, if nothing else, because, I have spoken to women that were abused sexually when they were young, very young. And one thing that they've told me is that they wish that they had the language to talk about it, and they weren't educated. They grew up in I only know two that I've spoken to about this, but they've grown up in sort of societies where they weren't very educated about sex ed. They didn't receive sex ed in class. They went to a Catholic school or other types of schooling.
Don't know what it is.
And so I do think it's really important for kids to understand sex, because as we all know, a lot of teenagers can be sexually active, and I think sex education is important to promote, healthy attitudes, healthy understandings of sex. I mean, these are human bodies. You can't just expect to send kids off at 18 with absolutely no sex ed and then think that they can function in the world.
So we should give kids like pictures of gay sex in middle school and actually elementary school, some of them.
I guess I'm wondering what you consider that. I think.
Do you want to see a picture?
Well, I don't know, but are you talking about the ones that you've posted on your Twitter account? Yeah. I guess those don't look like what I received when I did sex ed, but I think sex ed is important because it actually helps.
So you didn't have those types of things when you were in school?
Oh no, we had sex ed.
I'm saying the images I posted on my Twitter.
When you had sex ed in school, did you not get books with graphic
with
imagery?
pictures of gay sex?
I remember. I don't remember how old you are, but I grew up in the 90s when HIV and AIDS was a big thing, and we certainly learned about gay sex in school.
So those pictures I posted on my Twitter, you had graphics like that?
I actually don't know. I don't remember, to be honest. But I do think that it's really important to.
But knowing those
kids.
pictures, you seem to know very well what those pictures are. Do you think that?
I don't. I've seen
you kept referencing it.
Well, I've seen you post things,
then
but I don't
pull
know.
It up.
But I think, I guess I feel.
Because we need to put this into context.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this one gay sex picture is going to totally make you right in everything you've said, so.
Well, we won't know the context, of course, because we don't know the context of how those things are being taught.
Oh, so we could give kids, like, pictures of gay sex as long as it's in the proper context?
I don't know. I mean, it's up to the educator to determine, right? I don't know. I guess I'm kind of curious, Chaya, why you sort of focus so much about the LGBT? You keep mentioning gay sex, but you don't mention straight sex. Why is there such a focus on the LGBTQ world?
Oh, I don't want pictures of sex in school. Any pictures.
So you don't think children should receive any sort of sex education, straight or gay?
I said I don't want pictures of sex in school.
But you think that they should receive picture-free sex education?
No, I think we discussed this earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious kind of how you're thinking, when you think about the way that you put out content and the way that you think about growing your media empire.
Here, this is a blowjob.
I don't know what book this is from.
Genderqueer.
Okay.
So should this picture of a blowjob be in elementary schools?
I've never seen a book like that in elementary schools, but I have no idea.
It has been. Okay. I posted about it, yeah.
So tell me a little bit
about.
So
should it be in elementary schools?
I have no idea the context. I have no idea.
So in what context is it okay if it would be in elementary schools?
Absolutely no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I would not. I don't know, Chaya, because I haven't seen the rest of that book. I don't know what's in there.
But there is a context that it would be okay to give kids pictures like that of gay sex, anal sex in elementary schools.
No, because I'm sure the only diagram she wants is like that body cut in half from like the fucking horizontal view where like you see like the components of like the penis going into the vagina, and then it's only in the context of procreation, and that's it. That's it. There's no sexualization of it entirely. That I think that's where she wants to go. No sex unless it's for procreation only.
Sex pictures.
Thank God this is almost over.
person. So I don't know. Because you know who I would defer to on that? Just because neither of us are sex educators, I would defer that question to a qualified professional, a sex educator, and say, hey, you're an expert. You've treated tons, you've educated tons of people. You're a full-time sex educator. You've really studied this. What are the appropriate boundaries? I don't think that myself as a journalist or a media personality, I don't think I'm the right one to make that decision. And I guess I'm wondering why.
I have seen sex educators say that they want these books in schools. So then you're okay with it?
I think I would want to talk to the sex educator and rely on whatever the sex educators say. Okay. I'm wondering why you feel like you're qualified to be a sex educator when you have no background in that.
I don't want to be a sex educator. I just don't want to give kids porn in school.
I totally understand. Tell me a little bit more about sort of, just to change topic, about your content world. You put out a lot. You've got a whole staff now. How do you see your business growing, and what areas would you like to expand into?
I'm not going to get into my business strategy.
Do you see yourself? I've noticed that you've been doing more video content. Are you leading harder into Rumble?
I like doing video content.
Do you have a partnership with Rumble?
No.
Would you?
Maybe.
What are your thoughts on sort of the way that Twitter has evolved?
I love Twitter. It's the best. I love Elon. Elon rocks.
Have you spoken to Elon?
Saved free speech. Not like on the phone.
Have you talked? Would you meet with him?
Yeah.
What's
been your kind of criticism of Elon, because you're outspoken against Elon?
I'm a huge supporter of free speech and free expression, and I haven't liked the way that Elon has kind of arbitrarily banned journalists. I think that's a little concerning.
Who did he ban?
Oh, many. I mean, he banned, I think he banned Tyler Brown, the researcher. He banned, obviously, myself, Drew Harwell, other journalists.
So how do you feel about all of the conservatives that were being banned left and right when Jack Dorsey had Twitter?
I'm of the personal opinion, and I've said this on Twitter and many times, that, look, it's up to every private platform to set their own community guidelines. I'm not a huge believer in permanent bans. And I've always said that. And I defend that in the sense that these platforms evolve and people's usage of them evolve and people evolve. As you just said, you weren't even you were a completely private citizen 5 years ago. You had no political ideology. Now you have a political ideology. You're a very different person.
So when I got banned from Twitter, you were upset at that? Like you thought that was wrong?
I don't remember you getting banned from Twitter.
I got banned a few times. Not permanently, but
previous to Elon.
Yeah.
My feeling about any bans is that there should be a path to redemption, should you say. That doesn't mean that I don't think that it's in the right prerogative to ban people for 5 years, 10 years, whatever. I just personally feel like if you're going to issue lifetime bans, you should give people a path to abide by community guidelines. If you join back on and you break community guidelines again, look, that's on you. But personally, I think that, that's just my belief, and I've talked about that for years. I think that there should be a path to abiding by. If somebody says, hey, look, I know I broke community guidelines, I know what I was posting was wrong, and in sort of violating those rules, I could see tech companies allowing that back. And actually, that's what Elon has done, right? I mean, he reinstated all those people that were permanently banned.
Elon is the greatest free speech warrior, I think, of all time.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think what else. I feel like I've gotten through
Yeah,
most
I think
of these
that's
things.
it. I think we're good.
What else do you have going on?
Nothing much, I'll just continue making fun of the media like I do best.
I still can't, I don't think you answered me to begin with, but what are some of your favorite media outlets?
I said I like independent journalists.
But who?
Like some of the people I follow on Twitter have the best news.
Like who? Like who are your top three?
I would say, first of all, I love Daily Wire. I like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh. I like everything they do. I really like Jack Posobiec. Shout out to Jack, he's great. I like Mike Cernovich. He's cool. Who else is there? Yeah, there's a few others.
Are you still on Substack, by the way? I know you had a Substack at some point.
Yeah. What are your top media place for news?
404 Media. Love 404 Media. Are you familiar with them?
No.
Great website. Independent journalists. Walter Bragman, who does Important Context. Great Substack writer. A huge fan of his work. God, there's so many. Matt Bellany, Lucas Shaw, Julia Alexander. Yeah, great people. Try to see. I feel like that's it. I'm just trying to think.
Let's get an Uber and get out of here. I'm gonna order an Uber.
So, all right, let's make sure. Let's see. I know. Sorry. Thank you so much. Let's see. Oh my God, I think this died. Oh my God, it did. Wait, let's see.
Oh Jesus, that was like the hardest thing to watch ever, and I think that just like zapped the rest of my energy. I was gonna cover like one more thing, but oh my God, it's been 4 hours. I've been streaming for 4 hours. Streaming for 4 hours. Let me go. Let me sleep. Let me eat. Yeah. Okay, that's it, folks. That I think that's enough peering into like crazy topics today. Those were 3 really big topics, and yeah, that really like I feel like I need to lay down. Like that was so bad. I need to lay down. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I don't want to, I just don't even want to. She's just like a fucking just weird, like, psychopathic individual with just no thought, no concept of empathy or others or anything. She was just so fucking defensive and just sounds like the internet. Like, doesn't even sound like a real person, just sounds like the internet. Like, I don't know, it's just like so like my I think I even need to shower. I think I need to shower that off. Literally scrape it off my skin. It's like, it's that horrible. Christ almighty. Well, hey, thank you all for making it through with me. It's been a wild evening. It's been a wild ride. I am exhausted and I want to get on with my weekend. I have had enough fun for one stream. So I thank you all for coming, and thank you so much for the super chats and the memberships and the company and the sharing and in rage, tears, laughter, this, that, and the other. It's what we're all about. Alrighty. Alrighty, thank you so much, moderators. Cassie, Susan, Mark. Appreciate you, as always. And, till we see you again, toodles. Mwah. Oh yeah, there's Nex there. More respects to Nex.